safety. We still have trauma from this other photo of two gentlemen who wore matching ties, and we were talking about so much bromance, and we know how it ended.
Oh yes.
But I know for us, it would end like that. All right, a quick look at the dailies this morning.
Oh yes.
And where do we start? We start off with the Standard or the Daily Nation.
And just taking a look at what to expect in the headlines.
Oh yes.
Let me just open that up.
Fine. On the Daily Nation, we start off with the Daily Nation. The big headline today: how counties fixed big money tenders.
There you have it.
Matters procurement, and how governors are eating. On the Standard, Kagwe, UhuRuto lie haunting president in 2017. That's when the current CBA with doctors was signed, and this is what is haunting the current government. When it was signed, the president currently was the deputy president back then, and the Minister for Health giving us more details about what happened.
Into matters business, banks face 500 billion cash shillings hit on states' single account shift. And well, in case you're a business guru, you really have to read into all that jargon and understand. But something that really matters to you, just below there, we'll be getting into that later. Why pump prices will go up from next month. Next month is May.
I tell you. More dailies. We do have, yes, Kenya inaenda mrama, Karua asema, kinara wana Kenya asema nchi ipo pabaya kuliko wakati wa utawala dhalimu wa Moi. Habari kuu pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo.
And are you making illegal payments? Well, People Daily is saying Kenyans are actually doing this. It's in the insert pages. And I've realized that there isn't a common, apart from the Eid al-Fitr, there isn't a common headline. So it seems as if...
At least in all the dailies we have this photo of Muslims celebrating Eid al-Fitr yesterday.
But apart from that, there isn't a common one.
Yes, no common headline today. Coming from a holiday, it is a very slow news day. An interesting one here on the front page of the Star. ANC now wants Ford K and UDA to fold in merger. We told you this. I don't know why it's sounding like a shocker. It was going to happen either way. And that's as far as the local headlines are concerned. This is UDA party politics, Kenya Kwanza by extension. And do we have any other headlines here?
Oh yes, let me just... But even meanwhile, you imagine now even Ford K, after all those years of...
Will they or will they not fold and join UDA party? That's a big debate. Let's cross over into Uganda, and on the New Vision, they lead with Muslims clear to take PDM money. Now this is what President Museveni told Muslims yesterday as he celebrated Eid al-Fitr. And there's a money system there, which on interest rates. So yes, he made a declaration that Muslims are now clear to take the PDM money. On the Daily Monitor, KCCA to castrate stray dogs over rising bite cases. And this is one of those headlines you would never see on a daily in Kenya. Castration of dogs.
And published there is the most famous dog, even in Kenya. They call it the Kenyan Shepherd.
And Kamoja is just a lazy dog that doesn't do anything. And butcher.
And chances, if you call it Bosco,
itakubali.
Oh yes.
I'm a Simba. KCCA to castrate stray dogs. I have a very interesting headline in Uganda today.
And actually, even for context, so they say now, so the stray dogs are now at 6,000. Now I'm curious how they're going to be doing this. There are about 6,000 dogs. Bosco's just laying there.
In Kampala?
Yes, in Kampala. The process of even starting to castrate them is very, very curious to me.
From the village where I come from, there are so many of these. You leave the gate and they all follow you to the shopping center. They take you shopping, they take you back home.
But they're very crucial.
They're very friendly though.
And they're very crucial. When you see them, just going from one place to the next, there is a possibility that there's food there.
Yes.
There's a wedding,
by the way,
or there's a funeral.
Zinajuanga bashi kwa wapi?
Yes. Zinajuanga. So just follow them. Follow them and follow Bosco.
I can see now you're understanding the village life. Over in Tanzania, they're talking about something different.
Amani uchaguzi vyatawala.
Yes, discussion still coming from the Eid al-Fitr celebrations yesterday. And this is what they were talking about. Matters peace and the elections that are coming up later in the year.
Finally, in Tanzania, before we take a look at Rwanda's paper, tax evasion remains a problem, says Samia. And it seems as if the tax ghost is moving from Kenya to Uganda and now to Tanzania.
Oh, yes. But I think our problem is totally different. Different levels, different problems, yes.
Oh, yes. Finally, let's take a look at Rwanda's paper and see, there you have it. Kwibuka 30, who are the 9 politicians said to be honored. Rebero Genocide Memorial is a resting place of more than 14,400 genocide victims.
Yeah, and they're still marking the 30-year anniversary of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. So that's a big headline on the front page of the New Times in Rwanda, and that marks it for the dailies. We'll be looking at these dailies and the headlines in a lot more detail shortly, but before that, I think we should take a look at the weather probably. And
so in the weather, 17 degrees Celsius, they say it definitely feels like 17. Some good news today, chances of it actually being hot is quite high, so you might really feel hot than you always feel as hot as every day. Temperatures as high as 27, getting into the evening at around 4 p.m. 30% precipitation, but then getting into the evening, it might be raining into the day. And this is actually a very, comparing to last, or rather, I don't know why I'm feeling like today's on a Monday. Today just feels like a Monday.
I know that feeling. Usijali kesho, ingine tena break.
So kidogo hata nikwambie last week, meaning early this week. So yeah, I mean, starting from Monday, then also Tuesday, and we're taking a look at how the weather forecast was. It says that it is going to be raining the entire day, but then we did see the sun coming out, shining brightly, but then the rain started at around in the evening. So today's case is quite as true as what you'd want to see in Nairobi and its metropolitan regions.
All right.
That is how the weather is looking like.
Let's take a look at the traffic in Nairobi. So far, so good. What time is it right now? It's about 10 minutes past 6?
Yes.
Yes, at 10 minutes past 6, all the major tributaries into town are clear. And I'm looking at Waiyaki Way, all the way from Kikuyu, Gitaru, that interchange with the bypass, heading straight into town. And yes, from here, it is green all the way, Waiyaki Way into Chiromo Road and into town, clear all the way. Let's take a look at the other major tributary into town, and that's Thika Road. And from Ruiru all the way past Githurai, beyond Allsops, Thika Road, and even up to where we expect some trouble. This is the region around Pangani with that interchange. It is looking so far so good. Just a bit of yellow, meaning there's a bit of slowdown there because that's where Kiambu Road and Thika Road meet, but so far nothing much to report in that area. Kiambu Road, it's Nyue, yeah, all the way from Kiambu town, past the Ndigwa, past the bypass, past Ridgeways, all the way to Pangani interchange, and even as I speak, you can see the changes there at the Pangani interchange. It was a bit yellow just a few seconds ago. Now it's just turned red, meaning traffic is building up. So yes, coming from all these directions, the only part you expect some challenge probably is at Snarlap at Pangani. Let's go to the other side of town, and this is Mombasa Road. Mombasa Road from Gateway Mall, that's in Syokimau, all the way past Cabanas. It is green all the way into town, past Panari Hotel, past Capital Center. A bit of a snarl up around Nyayo Stadium. Yes, you can see a bit of red here. There's a bit of a snarl up there, a bit of a slowdown, because probably that's where a lot of vehicles from Langata Road are joining Uhuru Highway into town. So there you do expect some slowdown, but after that it's New Way into town. Look at Langata Road all the way from Nairobi Safari Walk past Uhuru Gardens, past the bypass, going down past Wilson Airport. It is New Way. So far, so good, all the way up to the Nyayo Stadium. And if you decide to use a slip road, you could actually bypass that slowdown there. Mbagathi Way is also looking good, going up from the T Mall roundabout all the way to the City Mortuary roundabout. Ngong Road as well is looking good, all the way from Karen, past the Junction Mall, Okay, and my fingers are messing up a bit. Yes, past Junction Mall, all the way past Prestige Plaza, up to the City Mortuary roundabout, where you do see a bit of red, meaning there's a bit of a slowdown at the City Mortuary roundabout, but nothing to worry about so far. So yes, so probably the other major tributary into town that we need to look at is Jogoo Road.
Jogoo Road, yes.
And you come all the way from Outer Ring Road, nothing much to report there. But around Makadara area, a bit of a slowdown there just before you get to the St. Stephen's roundabout. So yes, you'll come all the way from past Buruburu very fast, but then a bit of a slowdown there. Then it's Nue all the way. Again, another snarl up at City Stadium roundabout. Just a bit of a slowdown there, but once you get into Landis Road, past Mudhurwa, Machakos bus station, that's okay. Then past that, quite some activity around Haile Selassie Avenue. And I'm sure that is because of people traveling up and down and the matatus there as well. So that's a traffic situation in Nairobi this morning. And we do expect that this will be changing in a while, and probably Nyaringita will help us look at the traffic later on as we move on.
Oh yes, and actually even speaking, the Kenya Red Cross has been giving alerts on possible floods, so this might actually be changing, not only even in Nairobi metropolitan, but in other parts of the country, just seeing how the roads might be looking like. Some have been termed impassable because they've been destroyed by the whole floods, and Red Cross says the floods are even coming at a worse kind of situation, so yes, the roads might be affected largely.
Okay.
Oh yes. And speaking of what to expect, let's take a look at our news diary, a couple of highlights for today. So first off, in our news diary, we get into some matters. Grassroots election preparations for UDA party. The National Elections Board of UDA party has organized a meeting with aspirants of county level as well as constituency level, as well as the elected and nominated leaders, will be happening today, and it will be happening in various counties simultaneously. So this includes Nairobi, Busia, Homa Bay, Isiolo, Garissa, Narok, as well as West Pokot. Into matters courts, among the key notable into the anti-corruption court today, former Migori Governor Okoth Obado and 7 others, well, including his 4 children, are expected to appear at that court today, where they're charged with conspiracy to commit an economic crime. Into matters health, so the national-wide doctor strike enters its 4th week by KMPDU as they continue to protest. So this even actually as the Chief of Staff of State Houses, Felix Koskei, has given the doctors 24 hours to return. Yes. So we wait to see 24 hours lapses by end of today. So we wait to see how that will be shaping up. Yep. And if they'll actually be cowed into returning to work, as SG KMPDU Davide Taylor says. And finally, into matters sports, on to the last page of our diary for you. The 5th edition of the Kip Keino Classic will be launched today at Nyayo Stadium. Officials from the Ministry of Sports as well as Athletics Kenya are expected to be attending this event. Before we cross over to the papers, final bits on what to expect today as well. In Bunge today, into the Senate Committee on Agriculture will be meeting with, among others, Cabinet Secretary of Agriculture, that is Mithika Linturi, Cabinet Secretary of Trade, Rebecca Miano, National NCPB, as well as Kenya National Trading Company, and KEL Chemicals Limited. So basically to deliberate on the alleged distribution of fake fertilizer in various parts of the country. The last time CS Mithika Linturi appeared before a committee that was the National Assembly, he said that, well, there is nothing like the fake fertilizer that you're talking about. So wait to see how and what he will be saying today. Still in the Senate, so the Senate Standing Committee on Energy will be meeting with Nairobi City County or Governor Johnson Sakaja, following a second summon to deliberate on the tragic incident that happened on the 1st of February in Embakasi. This is again going to be an interesting one and a key one to watch for today. The last time this committee, Senate committee, which Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna sits, had called him and summoned him, he failed to appear. And well, according to him, he said he is attending the burial of one of the victims of this incident. So wait to see if actually he is going to appear before the Senate today, or he's going to give another excuse. A final one for you. The Cohesion and Equal Opportunities Committee is scheduled to meet MPs from bandit-prone areas of North Rift region to seek ways to end conflicts that result in skirmishes. So wait to see again the kind of proclamations that will be made and what will be said in this committee. That is what to expect as of today, that and much more. So stick around right here at your number one home of Untold Stories. Tuingie kwenye magazetini sasa?
Yes, let's take a look at the newspapers now. All right, the only one constant thing that's on all the dailies this morning, and this cuts across even the entire region, is the image of our brothers and sisters from the Islamic faith celebrating Eid al-Fitr yesterday. We have photos on each and every daily newspaper, starting from the Standard, the Daily Nation, even the Business Daily, Taifa Leo, even across to Mwananchi and the Citizen in Tanzania, and Daily Monitor in Uganda, as well as the New Vision. So that is a constant, brothers and sisters. Yesterday marked the end of the holy month of Ramadan, and most of them attended prayers, calling for the end, especially in Kenya, to the continued doctors' strike. But on the Standard, a different headline is given prominence. Kagwe, there is a former health cabinet secretary, says UhuRuto lie haunting president. The genesis is in 2017, which was an election year. Then President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto had to placate medics who were on a 100-day strike. Remember, so far they've only done less than 30. And so they were on a 100-day strike and entered into a CBA, which the former CS, Mutahi Kagwe, now says is hard to implement. That's a new thing that we've learned. President Ruto has already disowned the deal, leading to prolonged suffering. And the story is extensively covered on pages 4 and 5 of the Standard. Medics 2017 CBA UhuRuto drafted returns to haunt Ruto government. The other headline is doctors' strike continues to bite as patients suffer slow services. That's the main story on the front page of the Standard. The other story given prominence, doping lies and selling of country's honor for a few cents. In 2019, some overzealous journalists working for a Danish television channel sought out retired athlete Elias Kiptum for a special favor to fix his elite colleagues for doping. Now that's a special story, a special report on pages 6 and 7 of the Standard. In the real estate pullout of the Standard, a very interesting story, especially for homeowners. Court battle that could see 100 owners lose homes. You can read out that on the Standard. Let's go to the top strip for more highlights. For Raila, it is a case of damned if he did and damned if he didn't. Elsewhere, why Wetangula is a man under siege at home. And finally, in sports, all eyes on Omanyala at Kipkeino. Let's flip the paper and take a look at, yes, I love such photos. Brilliant photo in red, the Gunners. Trossard strikes late to rescue Arsenal as Real also drew against Manchester City. And I told you this, we'll be here no matter what, and we'll be here to check. Because everyone was saying, oh, Arsenal latomia. Arsenal gani? Unajua mnasema nini? Unajua unasema nini? This from the UEFA Champions League matches on Tuesday night. Yes, Arsenal drew 2-2 with Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid drew 3-3 with Manchester City. And that's the Standard this morning.
To the Daily Nation. Daily Nation feels light today. How counties fixed big money tenders. Moves on pages 4 and 5. This is matters procurement. Shocking details of how 15 governors played the IFMI system, diverted cash. There are 47 governors. 15 governors is basically a third, give or take.
Yes.
And that is very worrying. They call it a scandal where audit reports for the year ended 30th of June last year reveal how rules are routinely bent by county officials to hand lucrative contracts to preferred merchants, leaving taxpayers to incur heavy losses in inflated prices and huge payments for shoddy or no work done. This paper doing the Lord's work, just seeing how Devolution is really messing up. On the middle scroll, a photo that resonates with all other papers. And patient suffering Muslims urge state as they mark Eid al-Fitr. On the bottom, at the very bottom, still on the same breath, call of strike or face the music, doctors told. On page 10, striking doctors have been given 24 hours to call off the nationwide strike. Head of Public Service Felix Kuskei has urged them to return to the negotiation table in compliance with the court order. On the right, Bunge Tower, MPs to move into new swanky offices. Members of Parliament are expected to occupy the new office building, which took over 8 years to be completed from today. And I'm not sure if now the common Mwananchi who voted for this MP is able to actually freely walk into these offices, these swanky offices, and just demand, are you doing what you promised me? Mm-hmm. They really should. At the bottom, Azimio's best bet.
You know, they've actually made sure that from Bunge, the parliament buildings, to these offices, there's a road in between. But they built an underpass for the MPs so that they don't have to interact with Mwananchi as they cross the road. Because people used to waylay them. You wait for the MP, you know, that's my MP. And you've come all the way from Nyakach. Just wait for the MP for Nyakach. You see him crossing the road and you run. And you stop them and say, hey, Mheshimiwa, niko hapa, niko na shida. But now that will not happen anymore. You will not see them going to the office or back to parliament buildings.
The only time you probably have to see them is when they actually come to your constituency.
Once they leave parliament in their dark-tinted vehicles, you would not even know whose car that is.
No, I'm saying unless they,
when they come, yes.
Unless they come
sometime in
village.
2027, yes. Sometime in 2027, you will probably see one or two who are still interested in re-election. Most of them could be. So yes, katu nyumbani ungoje hadi siku hiyo.
Wow. Into the swanky new offices. Back to the front page. Firebrand NAC party leader Martha Karua, who's Azimio leader and Raila Odinga's running mate in the 2022 presidential election, insists she has a mettle to take over the coalition's leadership and dismisses Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka as lacking the authority to steer the opposition. Interesting. Now you can flip to the back page. 11 billion cash shillings arrears, rock police teachers medical scheme. And they quote a number there that is on the back page. This is 7.6 billion cash shillings arrears accumulated by the teachers medical scheme. The police and prisons one has accumulated arrears totaling 4 billion Kenyan shillings. Into matters education now. Poor funding undermining the quality of education in special schools. Cabinet Secretary of Education Ezekiel Machogu telling members of parliament. And he's quoted saying this underfunding poses a serious threat to the quality of learning in the institutions, especially those with learners with severe disabilities. But a very interesting one, a very top scroll, matters Olympics. Kenyan athletes could potentially earn millions more as gold medalists after World Athletics introduces prize money at Paris Games, which is actually Paris Games for 2024. Was on page 32. So when you say this, you run to start running.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Those who can run. Some of us are comfortable just walking.
But this is going to be it. But then now imagine as a Kenyan, they win quite a huge sum of amount in Paris. But then how much is going to be taxed when they come into the country, when they come back?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
The taxman is like 50% of that money.
The taxman just eyeing all that and it's like, later.
Some of it could be double taxation. Wow. But that's another discussion all the way. Either way, let's take a look at the Business Daily now. Banks face a 500 billion shilling hit on state's single account shift. Lenders push for a phased implementation plan. Treasury intends to collapse over 33,000 accounts into one. Commercial banks now want the Treasury to appoint them as collecting agents for its centralized account as they look to soften the blow of losing hundreds of billions of shillings in stable deposits from state agencies when the new system is rolled out. No, now there's only one pay bill into one account for all government services. And yes, definitely, 500 billion shillings, that's the losses that banks are staring at. The other big story on the front page of the Business Daily has to do with matters fuel prices, why pump prices will go up next month. Prices of Murban and crude on the global market have climbed to highs last seen in October last year, setting up Kenyans for a rise in the cost of fuel after a short season of decline that started in December. That means even despite the good run by the Kenya shilling against the US dollar, pump prices may still go up next month. More highlights on the ticker, front page of the Business Daily. 11.6 billion shilling arrears rock teachers, police medical scheme. Teachers, police and prison officers have been dealt a blow of an outstanding medical insurance debt of over 11 billion shillings, forcing them to pay cash to access medical services. How sad. Elsewhere, 9-month domestic debt grows to 424 billion shillings. This is the rate the state borrowing from the local market accelerated during the first 9 months ended March, with fresh debt hitting 424.7 billion compared to 274 billion of new borrowing in the same period a year earlier. Elsewhere, 20% of Kenyan CEOs cut jobs on sales drop. Now, I don't know why, but the front page of the Business Daily is a bit depressing today. Yeah? Bad news for banks, bad news for motorists, bad news for police and teachers, bad news for employees. This is about a fifth of CEOs in private sector companies are reducing jobs in the 3 months ended March as weak demand for goods and services persisted.
And more bad news for those who love meat like I. And
there's a story about meat here. They're saying from a fair share perspective, Africa should receive support. No, Kenya's baffling low appetite for rare cooked meats. Yes. There's one more highlight here about Central Bank of Kenya. It's tipping the economy to grow at 5.7%, which is reasonable. A significantly more positive outlook compared to projections by the World Bank and the IMF. So probably that's the only positive highlight on the front page of the Business Daily today.
Right. Let's see if there are more depressing news on the front page of People Daily. Probably. So the top is Kenyans making illegal payments. And picture there is Senator Kavindu, I believe from Machakos. Mm-hmm. And she says, as representatives of the people, we should not allow people to pay levies or taxes where there is no law. And well, a photo of Eid al-Fitr. But matters education, that is on the top scroll. State starts crackdown on schools holding certificates over fees, and Education Ministry mulling installation of technology to ensure candidates directly access the results. And health mistakes men make. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting read.
There's an interesting highlight here about the police IG asking scribes, those are journalists, mm-hmm. to stop calling him at night when they get into trouble with the police. Wewe Nyaringita, para pigia police IG usiku. Ukienda sherehe yako, ushikwe shauri yako.
Hapana pigia mdosi mwambie.
Why he chose to address journalists, I don't know.
Nimeshikwa.
There's so many people who call him, I'm sure. Why he decided to tell this to journalists, I don't know. Well, That's a police inspector general telling journalists wasipigie simu usiku.
So he spoke this yesterday in a meeting that was organized by Transport CS, Kipchumba Murkomen. And journalists were there asking him, so tell us, for real, what are you doing to ensure that and curb this whole road safety? And in his, let's just go to his, so here it is. And he tried to evade all that.
He says he claimed that a senior media personality recently called him at 2:30 a.m. after he was arrested by the police and wanted him to intervene. Yes. Wewe senior media personality wache hiyo mchezo. Unapigia polisi haijui usiku ukifanya.
Ile unapiga unasema, do you know who I have in my contact?
Do you know who I know?
Do you know who I
am?
Wacha hata nimpigie.
I know that feeling. I tell you. Okay.
Back to the front page, and that's actually basically what is on this paper.
Okay.
On it. We'll be getting back to it, taking a look at the cartoons, but to Taifa Leo now.
Taifa Leo, habari kuu pale, Kenya inaenda mrama, asema Karua. Kinara wa Kenya, asema nchi ipo pabaya kuliko wakati utawala dhalimu wa Moi. Na baadhi ya vitu anayokosoa chini ya Kenya Kwanza ni ufujaji wa fedha, maandamano na ufisadi, kwingineko gharama ya maisha na unyakuzi wa ardhi. Ni katika mahojiano ya gazeti hili na huyo kinara wa Kenya Martha Karua. Unaweza kusoma zaidi kuhusu yale aliyosema. Kwingineko mjane apoteza wanawe wawili katika ajali. Familia moja Nakuru yaomboleza vifo vya kifungua na kitinda mimba waliokufa katika ajali. Na pia kama gazeti zile zingine kuna picha ya ndugu zetu Waislamu wakisherehekea tafrija za siku kuu ya Eid al-Fitri hapo jana. Kwingineko Kisii kukusanya ushuru katika mji wa Keroka kwenu. Hapo Keroka mwanze kulipa ushuru. Agizo jipya linafutilia mbali uamuzi wa mahakama ya ardhi hadi rufaa itakaposikizwa na kuamuliwa. Habari zaidi pale juu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Kaunti 30 zamulikwa kwa ukabila.
Now that's more than 3/4. We're taking a look at 15 governors
in all these more than 2/3. It's
2/3, yes.
Zimekosa kutimiza usawa katika kuwaajiri wafanyikazi wake. Na kwingineko alaumiwa kwa kukataa kuwa balozi. Mbunge wa West Mugirango aomba Ruto msamaha kwa niaba ya Kemosi. Jamaa alipewa kazi akasema mistaki hiyo kazi bana, I'm busy. Hizo gazeti la Taifa Leo hii leo.
Shangaa yule aliyeteuliwa kuwa balozi kule Urusi, sijui kama naye angekataa ingekuwaje.
Na ni kama but there's more today the committee continues to vet the vetting process of more nominees to the different missions abroad.
Yeah.
Finally on the Star.
Finally on the Star, matters party politics and a very heated debate. So this even comes as the UDA grassroots party elections are just nearing up to the tail end of this month. But then they say ANC now wants Ford K and UDA to fold in merger. This is one of those times Fred tells me that, you were not even born when Ford K was...
it's true. To be honest, by the way, do you know it started as Ford?
Yes.
Do you know the full meaning of Ford?
I have forgotten.
Forum for Restoration of Democracy.
Yes.
That is how it started.
By Jaramogi.
Then it split up into Ford Kenya and Ford Asili.
Yes.
Later, Ford People came up. The only surviving unit right now is Ford Kenya. Yes, and that was Jaramogi's party.
Yes. To that bit, I'm
when it was
sure
happening, believe you me, you were not even an idea.
But then, I mean, the fact that it goes all the way down into matters history.
You can imagine such a party being asked to fold at this time by some new outfit that is not even 4 years old. And well, I don't know. It will be one of those discussions we'll be having with my panelists, so you can stand by for that.
Oh yes, on pages 4 and 5 you can read that says all Kenya Kwanza affiliates should collapse into one grand party. On the left scroll, matters health, pay queries as Minister of Health directs hiring of 8,571 universal health coverage workers. Matters weather focused. I love how the Star gives a whole bit of matters weather focused and what the weatherman is saying. So the flood warning, Met predicts heavy rainfall around the Lake Victoria Basin. So listen to this if you're living around there. People living around Lake Victoria should prepare for possible flooding after the Met Department predicted more rains in the region this week. Forecast shows heavy afternoon rains will persist, causing flooding. So be aware of that. And finally, a gentleman who we'll see more oftenly in these coming weeks on preparations of the 1st May, Labor Day. The man, Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli, and he says new bill wants long-serving union federation officials removed. Pretty sure if maybe he's going to be talking about this on that D-Day of 1st May of Labor Day. But then in a nutshell, that is the front page of the Star, and this takes us to our cartoons this morning.
All right, on page 15 of the Daily Nation and page 14 of the Standard, we start off with the Daily Nation. Page 15 talks about matters road safety, and we have a road there and signs, drive safely, but no one is using the roads. Very few people are using the road. Most people are using choppers. And whoever is on the chopper is asking road safety. Why bother with roads that I rarely use? You know, it just talks about the CSs who are supposed to resolve the road carnage issues, and they're rarely on our roads. They're just flying over them. And you wonder the complacency. Why the complacency? That's the reason why, because they do not see the urgency. On page 14 of the Standard,
a death sentence there.
We do have the besieged CS for Health, a caricature of her. Susan Nakhumicha there on one side. The options she has is on one side, a resign or hang. On the other side, there's a guillotine, say banish. So it looks like she's caught in between very tough choices.
Oh, yes.
Yes, to resign or be banished. Either way, she is in hot soup, as it is.
Someone else in maybe hot soup and caught in two very tough situations is a gentleman who, we said at this point, if you can actually recognize the face of a caricature, this person has really made it. And Prime CS, Musalia Mudavadi, holding a crock or a sandal of ANC, throwing it into the rubbish, and a very huge canvas of UDA.
You see even the type of shoe that this cartoonist has chosen to symbolize ANC in comparison with UDA, saying ANC ni sandak.
Wow, I'm curious why he chose a canvas for UDA. But anyway, this person says, I need King Solomon's wisdom to handle all of this. Oh, yes. And well, you said you'll be having all this conversation with the panelist this morning.
Our panelist this morning on State of the Nation will be discussing these and a lot more. Do stand by for that conversation. We do have the poster. Kindly help me with the poster.
Let me see if I can real quick. Technology
ni kama imekushinda. And yes, no, we do not have that. Let me help you. I told you I always have to sort you. Mambo ya technology inaletanga shida.
No, I always have to sort you out for this.
Either way, you will be seeing our panelists this morning, and you can be part of that conversation as well online through our social media pages on X at T47 News and on Facebook, TV47 Kenya. Later on, we'll be having other discussions as well.
Oh, yes. So here's a panel.
Oh, finally you have it.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Jimmy Gikwa, political analyst, Josephat Kamanya, political analyst, Tabitha Ogutu, communications and development specialist, as well as Edwin Kigoli, a youth political analyst. There will be a panelist this morning. You can stand by for that conversation.
Oh, yes. And well, we'll be getting into matters law later on. Just understanding, and even a question of the day for you. Do you think children born outside the marriage union should inherit property? That is coming at around 8 a.m. And well, into matters fitness, Coach Kim, keep fit, will be with you from around 9 to 10. Tutakuwa pale na yeye tuki-ensure that our bodies are looking fantastic.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Do stand by for all that and more, and be part of this show. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbali.
Let's take a look at some news updates for you and what to expect this particular day. So the world commemorates the Eid al-Fitr celebrations yesterday. Leaders from the Islam region have raised concerns on the ongoing strikes by health professionals. The religious leaders are now calling on the government and the medics to find a solution to the strike. Elizabeth Atieno tells us more.
Thousands of Muslim faithful thronged the Isiolo Islamic Institute, where they sought divine intervention to end the ongoing nationwide doctor strike that has paralyzed delivery of health services in public hospitals across the country.
Wale sahi wanaathirika ni wale wa chini, kwa sababu wale wako na mali, wale wako na rasmali wanaenda private hospital. Je, wale wanyonge ambayo rais alikuwa anasema ni hustler nation watatibiwa na nani?
The Islamic leaders have called on the government to cut its expenditure on overseas trips and divert the resources to remunerate doctors.
Serikali inaonekana nalegea, hapana chukua na nguvu mambo ya madaktari kugoma.
Starting from taxation, crisis of the doctors, the road accident. Hii Kenya inaonekana ya kwamba mahali inaenda hatuoni kama ni mzuri.
The Muslim leaders have amplified their voices, urging the government and doctors to embrace dialogue to treat the ailing health sector.
Na mwananchi pia anataka kuwa katika siha bora ili apate kutoa huduma zake katika ujenzi wa taifa.
Tu kila mtu ajishusha na nina uhakika ya kuwa suluhu itapatikana na madaktari watarudi kazi.
Lakini sisi tunaomba madaktari mrudi katika njia ya Mwenyezi Mungu, mwahurumie wale ambao kwamba wanawakimbilia nyinyi ili kusudi mwasaidie, warudi nyuma kidogo, na serikali pia waone ni kitu gani itaongezeka, kwa sababu at the end of the day we are looking forward to what we call a win-win situation.
Elsewhere, Machakos County Governor Wavinya Ndeti says public health facilities in Machakos are offering full services as the county government has been able to sustain doctors on contract with the county.
Kwa sababu madaktari wakikuwa na stand yao, nayo serikali ikikuwa na stand yao, mwananchi ndio anaumia. But the bottom line, watu wakuja wakutane, this must be about give and take.
Some of us have the comfort of being able to go to private hospitals. Millions and millions of Kenyans, they have no voice, they cannot speak, you cannot hear them.
The ongoing doctor strike that has entered its 28th day has received backing from different unions, the latest being the Kenya National Private Security Workers Union, who say it is imperative for the government to meet the doctors' demands.
Kwa hivyo ningelipenda kusihi serikali ya nchi ya Kenya iliconsider mambo ya kusema kwamba ati hakuna pesa ya kupeana hawa daktari, kwa sababu it has set very bad precedents. Inamaanisha kwamba sitakuwa tunasaini mambo ya collective bargaining agreement alafu inatupiliwa hivyo kwa sababu hakuna pesa.
The Doctors Union have since maintained that the strike is still on and are now planning to hold their demonstrations on Tuesday and Thursday next week. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
540 families in the villages of Kamenya, Kowor, Kasirawa and Konyango in the sub-county of Rachuonyo North, Homa Bay County, have been affected by floods due to heavy rains being experienced in the country. The villages are now deserted, with houses being submerged in water. Residents have been forced to seek alternative shelter from the continuous heavy downpour. From this, the affected residents are living in fear of being attacked by wild animals and the outbreak of waterborne diseases. The national government has been called upon to offer relief assistance to affected families.
Who have been internally displaced, who don't have a place to call home, no roof on top of their heads. Their farmlands have been submerged, and we are also talking about high rates of wildlife animal conflict. Here we are talking about hippopotamus that are marauding within the community, scavenging for pasture because their grazing lands have been submerged. And this is really a threat to the community and causing a lot of insecurity.
There is some diseases that are occur in these our villages because this water here and then it affects us and we come out with a very, very big diseases. Like now we have cholera here, we have got malaria, and these breeding areas, it affects us because of this flood.
We fear in the coming 3-4 days, this flood may increase. So we are requesting these people who are affected within the 4 villages
move to higher grounds. Already we have the rescue center, which is a sort of primary school. We have a sort of secondary school. We have the surrounding churches within these places, like PAG Church. We have a sort of main SDA, then we have Nyando SDA.
Now, the UDA Party National Elections Board is today expected to set the stage for the party polls by meeting aspirants from Nairobi County at the party headquarters. The meeting and the planned polls from the party in 2 weeks' time are an acid test for the party due to internal feuds in the Kenya Kwanza camp over the anticipated merger. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua held a meeting with the UDA party officials where party polls was on the agenda.
Chair, how are you? I'm very loyal.
The governing UDA party, which kicks off party elections in 2 weeks' time, faces an acid test in conducting successful polls and move as united front ahead of the 2027 elections amid sibling rivalry over an anticipated merger. UDA National Elections Board kicks off the unity test on Thursday when all aspirants from Nairobi County converge at the party headquarters to raise their concerns on the forthcoming polls.
Aspirants are encouraged to attend the meetings as this is the forum that will address any queries and concerns that they may have, and will be the platform to ensure comprehensive awareness of election procedures and guidance.
On Friday, the National Elections Board will meet aspirants from Busia and Homa Bay, Isiolo and Garissa on Saturday, and close the curtain with Narok and West Pokot on Monday. Phase 1 of the polls, slated for the 26th of this month, will be held in Nairobi, Narok, West Pokot, Busia, Homa Bay, Isiolo and Garissa counties. The party has since directed all those seeking to contest to register by Friday this week.
This deadline is to ensure that there is sufficient time to organize logistical and administrative measures in good time. The board is currently in the process of identifying and recruiting the personnel that will conduct the elections.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who is eyeing the deputy party leader slot, met UDA officials on Tuesday at his current residence, where the elections were on the agenda. The much anticipated merger for Kenya Kwanza affiliate parties played a part in the postponement of the party polls. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is said to be eyeing the deputy leader slot, a move Gachagua's allies from the Mount Kenya region are not happy with, as they feel it will weaken his influence in the party. The party is also at a crossroads in the restive Mount Kenya region, where the region is unhappy with Kenya Kwanza taxation regime. How the region participates in the UDA polls will serve as a pointer on the region's political future amid the current perceived fallout between the popular Kiharu MP, Ndindi Nyoro, and DP Rigathi Gachagua. The Deputy President has recently apologized to retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's family in a move many see as signaling new alliances in the future. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Most definitely, and we will be updating you on how that will be happening in different constituencies right here in Nairobi and different parts of the country, just to see how that meeting will be ahead of the polls. So stick around right here. And finally, hundreds of Muslim faithful Wednesday came out to celebrate Eid al-Fitr in Nairobi and other parts of the country, where men, women, and even children gathered at various points to conduct the prayers. Eid al-Fitr is a major religious holiday for Muslims that marks the end of the month-long fasting period of Ramadan, which is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar.
Early Wednesday morning, as is the norm every year, Muslims from all walks of life took part in the annual Eid al-Fitr ritual. According to Muslim calendar, Eid al-Fitr is a major religious holiday that marks the end of the month of long fasting period of Ramadan, which is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar.
Leo ni siku kuu, ni siku ya furaha, siku ya kutangamana, siku ya kushare yule ambaye yuko nayo, kupeana yule ambaye hana.
In Nairobi County, the Muslim faithful flocked to Sir Ali grounds to mark the special day where the celebration began with special prayer known as the Eid prayer performed early in the morning after the sighting of the crescent moon.
Alhamdulillah, Namshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kufika katika siku hii ya leo. Siku ambaye alijalia katika masiku za furaha.
Mathalan, kila mtu aliofunga, awe ni mdogo, awe ni mkubwa, awe mzee, awe ni mwanamume, awe ni mwanamke, anatakaniwa leo atoe zakatul fitr. Zakatul fitr ni chakula, staple food ya ule mji. Mfano, sisi watu wengi wanatumia mchele, kwa hivyo utatoa mchele kilo 2.5 kwa kila mmoja katika nyumba, kila mmoja ambayo yuko chini yako.
It was the same in Narok, where Muslim faithful gathered at the old Intimama Stadium for celebration, with the message of love and unity ringing all over. In Kirinyaga County, men, women and children gathered to conduct their prayers, where the Muslim faithful were urged to remember the less fortunate in the society, even as they enjoy the feast with their beloved one.
Kiuhakika ni siku ya furaha, kujumuika pamoja na wale maskini, kusherehekea pamoja na wao, ni siku ya kuhurumiana, ni siku ya pia kusameheana makosa zetu.
After the Eid prayer, faithful are encouraged to visit each other, and especially the less fortunate in the society, as a way of spreading love. According to Muslim calendar, Eid al-Fitr marks the end of Ramadan, and Muslims across the world and within the country have celebrated this special day. Nelson Mwareza, TV47, Nairobi.
Most definitely, and that marks the end of our news updates for you. Just to tell you on the whole context of what to expect on matters leadership and governance for this particular conversation, still headed by Fred Ndimuli on the same. The panelists right here. Over to you, Fred.
Thank you, Stanley. Time now for State of the Nation. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV47. My name is Fred Ndimuli. Want to take a look at the headlines today, coming a day after the Eid al-Fitr holiday. The headlines are really varied. On the Daily Nation, how counties fixed big money tenders. On the Standard, Kagwe UhuRuto lie haunting president. On the Business Daily, banks face 500 billion shilling hit on state's single account shift. And on the Star, I think probably that's the most interesting headline today. ANC now wants Ford Kenya and UDA to fold in merger. These are just some of the discussions we're going to have this morning with my panelists. Allow me to introduce my panelists this morning. Josephat Kamanya, familiar face on this panel. Karibu sana. It's good to see you in studio.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Kamanya is a political analyst. And next to him, we do have Tabitha Ogutu, communications and development specialist. It's a pleasure to host you on TV47. Karibu
Thank
sana.
you very much, Fred. Thank you for having me.
Last but definitely not least, Edwin Kigoli, youth political analyst. Karibu sana. It's good to have you in studio.
Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off with some very interesting conversation that's happening on Twitter, mostly, X. And it emanates from a tweet by one Sani MK Marina. I don't think he's a Kenyan. I think he's a Senegalese gentleman. And he tweeted a photo of the newly sworn-in president alongside his prime minister. The newly sworn-in president is called Bassirou Diomaye Faye, and alongside his prime minister, Ousmane Sonko. The two gentlemen were pictured dressed in similar attire. And it's generated quite some discussion online, especially Kenyans. This is a tweet from Senegal, but if you read all the comments, they're by Kenyans. And the tweet read simply, President Diomaye and his Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko dressed identically at the first ministerial cabinet meeting in Senegal today, wearing the same suit, necktie, and shoes. What is the significance of this? And Kenyans came out and said, hey, premium tiers loading, ngoja tutaonyesha maneno. And this could be just trauma from what we've experienced previously. And it may look very promising, and let's start from there. After that election in Senegal, and very many young Kenyans, very many young Africans were very optimistic and felt that this is the way Africa should go. Let's start with you, Edwin. And we had that same feeling in Kenya a few years back. How things change, and are we justified to judge other Africans based on what we've experienced in Kenya? Miguna has actually responded on that and said it is very wrong for Kenyans to actually say that things will go the same way in Senegal.
Well, it's interesting, Fred, when you look at the photo, because Kenyans have had quite a number of experiences on the political front. And when you look at what they are trying to allude to was, the bromance of UhuRuto, that identicals, in ties and, shirts, right from the Hague into the rallies, into cabinet meetings, into briefings. So Kenyans have an experience with that. And they say, this is something we've lived, we've seen, and we know how it ends, and it doesn't end quite well. But yet, change is the only constant thing. But it doesn't mean if it didn't work in Kenya, it cannot work in Senegal. So probably the parameters in Senegal and the circumstances or situation there could work and prove Kenyans wrong. On the other side, it could actually happen even more worse than the Kenyan side, because in the run-up to 2017 and now 2022 elections, we saw the fallout between President Uhuru Kenyatta and now President William Ruto. There were political differences and a number of factors played in, and that, brought to a halt the bromance that we used to see, the brotherhood, and President Kenyatta and Ruto being very closely knit together in public functions. But yet, this is what is happening in Senegal. A young man, just as it was with Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were relatively young when they were taking office. So we hope it doesn't go our way, but yet we know, the coming in of Azimio leader complicated a lot of matters from Uhuru's side, and he had to sacrifice President William Ruto for Azimio leader Raila Odinga. We hope it doesn't happen to be the case there.
Tabitha, I'm looking at a tweet here by Dr. Miguna, and he says, "Hello Kenyans, stop using your politics of duplicity and betrayal as a gold standard on which other countries, leaders and people are to be judged." Then he goes ahead to wish the people of Senegal well and the camaraderie and comradeship between the two leaders. But, well, we've seen it before. Yeah. And are we wrong to warn them of what could be lying ahead?
They've reminded me of my own counties here. Our governor, my friend Orengo, and his deputy also, they had quite a similar outlook when they got into the office, because they used to wear the same ties. Many times they used to have the same outfits. Then the bromance, I will say, wataachana tu, the way we say it in Kenya. Is
that really our nature?
Yes.
You just say everything wataachana tu ngoja muone.
Wataachana tu. And so then now they can't see eye to eye. And we've seen even the impeachment motion that was brought to Senate for our deputy governor, but fortunately enough he was saved. And as Edwin has mentioned also, we've seen that now in our national politics, in other outfits in this country. So, Kenyans, we are not far-fetched from other Africans. So we try and incorporate what other Africans will go through into our situations. I mean, they could learn from us, So a Kenyan thinking that such an outfit, given the dynamics in politics, in that politics most of the time are driven with a personal interest. So we wouldn't know that, for example, this particular outfit of the Senegalese president and the prime minister, I mean, what is the basis of its formation in the deeper meaning? And what if now the other party will also want to push an agenda, maybe be the president the next time? Then of course, there is a shift in the power dynamics, and that means that anything can happen. But even as we, as Kenyans live, because, I mean, our system of governance has given us such an opportunity that we always perceive that we give room for what may, because we've seen these particular outfits not really working intactly. And even in the coming election, already we are seeing that we might be having a bit of fallouts here and there. So then as we, I think we are justified by that. Okay. And so Miguna, Miguna is Kenyan, and again is a Canadian, so maybe he will not want to really live with the spirit of what being a Kenyan would look like. I mean, with the realities we have, so we'll give them that to pass. But even me, as I sit down here, I would think that we we would like then maybe Senegal can learn from Kenya, basically, on what really has made our political outfits, the bromances, get some sort of dysfunction. After they've learned from us, then we really hope that theirs really stay intact so that we have very good administration.
And Bonakamanya, the trauma that we may be suffering as Kenyans is justified. That we've seen the result of such a fallout from a duo that has been working very well, from a duo that's elected together, and then the resulting fallout and what it means for the country. We may not really be wrong to say wataachana tu.
Well, a good morning to all our viewers. I think we all know, and we need to keep reminding ourselves, that politics is all about interest. The bromance of the UhuRuto that we are trying to refer to was purely interest-based. And the moment those interests became a bit divergent, everybody had to go their own way, and hence the fallout of the bromance. Our Senegalese friends, and I do hope their bromance goes the distance, if their interests remain aligned, then they'll be in a position to at least establish a fair administration that is run by young people, and they can become a better example to our African states than Kenya was. That, people can come together, have interest, and work together and maintain a sustainable administrative system that can serve the Senegalese people. Again, Senegal, it's different country, different dynamics, different socio-economic status, but Kenyans on Twitter are never late to come out and comment. Well, they are known a lot. We always have an opinion on international issues, but I think a point of interest would be us to notice that this can be what we want to have in Africa. Let it not be that every time there is a coalition and then the election cycle comes to an end, a year or two into a new administration, there is a fallout, and then the government is not functioning like what we had in the 2017 leading 2022. Okay. Because there cannot be two centers of power. A fallout of a bromance means they're trying to have two centers of power in any state, in any country, and that is purely dysfunctional. Okay. I hope it doesn't go that way. I want to see them succeed because remember, as young leaders of Africa, we are eyeing President Faye to see how he comes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that will set the basis for most of our discussion today. What we've seen with the kind of unity that we see in Senegal, with the unity we saw in 2013, the resultant fallout, and the results that are now on the headlines. Yeah. One of those is actually on the front page of the Standard. I think for the very first time, in a very long time, we're seeing that reference of UhuRuto on a headline in Kenya. And it is talking interestingly about the doctor strike. Back in 2017, UhuRuto was the team. That's when the CBA, the current contentious CBA, was signed. Now, the former cabinet secretary, Mutahi Kagwe, says it is hard to implement. He was CS then. And President Ruto has disowned the deal. And you see, with the fallout came a lot of attempts to try and distinguish the current presidency and remove itself completely from the previous presidency. If at all the bromance would have lasted, probably things would be different. There would be ownership of some of the decisions made during that time. The fallout we saw in 2017, 2018 is what we are suffering even now as Kenyans. A CBA that was signed when the current president was deputy president cannot be honored simply because there was a fallout. So we are justified in being worried when we see something else happening elsewhere, because in Kenya we are experiencing it, Edwin.
Yes, Fred, and unfortunately so. When you look at the current stalemate between the medical practitioners and the government, it brings you to a very sad reality that the timing of the negotiated CBA was not only political, but also one of the negotiating pillars was at a disadvantage. The political class is looking at a chance of being elected into office or re-elected, and the medical team looks that as a chance to nick out something very important to their collective bargaining agreement. But yet, deep down the political class, they know some of these promises we are making here practically, economically cannot be implemented. And yet they go ahead and sign that deal. So to doctors, they walk out of that conference room saying, probably we've had a deal of the day today. And the political team is saying, well, we will see what time tells about the CBA, we know it is not going to work. It is not going to be possible. So sometimes when even the medical teams are going to negotiate for CBAs, they need to be honest with themselves. They need to be honest with can know that the people who are going to bear the brunt of this negotiated CBA is not the politicians, it is the Kenyans, all right? So when they need higher packs, when they need heavy pay, all right, they must know that this money is going to be coming from somewhere. Somebody is going to be taxed. Somebody's pay slip is going to take a hit for them to see that beauty in their paychecks. So when you look at the current arrangement, be it from the national government or county government, the devolution of the health matters should have been done 100%. Why do we still have the national government still negotiating on CBAs, yet county governments are devolved with the function of the health? County governments are having contracts with these doctors, meaning whatever is happening in Kirinyaga County is independent of what is happening in Vihiga County, all right? So why do we get to a point where now doctors nationally call a strike, yet they are domiciled in respective counties with respective contracts? So when we rationalize these matters, we realize that there is an administrative hitch somewhere, and the non-devolution of key functions in their totality and the budget thereof being seconded to enable those functions is one of the challenges that the national government and county governments are finding themselves on the upside of the road. And if we can get these matters correctly, let county governments stand their ground and say, Dr. So-and-so, what issues do we have with you as a person, all right? So individualize these cases. When you look at all the demands here, which county government is in arrears of all these demands? You will find most county governments are way ahead in implementing some of these demands met by the doctors. So sometimes our medical team, they need to be honest with Kenyans. They need to be honest with their oath of office so that they do not continue to heap on demands that cannot be realized right now. And Fred, lastly, when you look at the state of our economy right now, if you implement this CBA for doctors, nurses also have a pending CBA, all right? Other organizations, teachers' unions, others that you can mention of, they also have pending CBAs. So it will open a Pandora's box. So if the government did for doctors, fair administrative action requires that if you do for Fred Indimuli, you got to do it for Tabitha.
Yet it was a negotiated document. It is the ownership of this agreement that I'm worried about. That when we have a fallout such as we saw, that now no one owns whatever government engaged in back then. After all, tulikosana, you atatu junior nani. Is that the way government should run, really, Tabitha?
I will beg to disagree with Edwin that, first of all, we need to be realistic as a country that you today, Edwin, if you are a doctor, given the risks and the health issues that you are exposed to every day, it's only fair that as a health worker, the government gives you value for the services you offer. Even the government itself, the people who work in the government, these are not people who can be alive if the doctors or the health or service providers were not here. So what these people are saying is, as part of even continuation of SDGs, you know, the factor of conducive working environments and the places of work, these are some of the things these people are calling for. So it's not far-fetched that as a common Kenyan, even looking at that dynamic, that the president at least should have given the health workers, the doctors, the clinical officers, the nurses, an opportunity to dialogue. As much as maybe the government is not able to give fruitfully what the CBA provisions are, but you cannot dismiss on arrival doctors and health workers who basically are seeking for their own constitutional right. It's not easy to be a health worker in this country, I will say that. So then we cannot say that they're demanding too much. Then that would mean that these people, they're not being realistic. They're realistic with their condition. You see, their reason is not your reality, as somebody is not a health practitioner. So what it is that it's very commendable that the country and its leadership has to listen to the health workers. And we have to agree that for a very long time, even the teachers, they've been underpaid. These are people who provide very important services to the people. These are the drivers of the economy. Right now, the taxation has been imposed, a lot of taxation has been imposed on these people's salary. and the salary is not increasing. So the baggage on even the taxpayers' money, the baggage on what already they have, and the risk that being exposed to, because every job have its own dynamics, then it's very justifiable that these people be given. But now, I think moving forward, we can say as a government that yes, this is a CBA that you signed with the previous administration. We might also agree that maybe, like Mutahi Kagwe said yesterday, this was something to lure them because it was an election period, right? But then, realistically, what is it that the health worker should be given in terms of environment, conducive environment of work, in terms of salary remuneration, and what is the role of the government to ensure that the same way, right now we are talking about increasing the parliamentarians' salary, the same way we want to have the president bring the position of the CS to power at such a point where we are talking about the economy being at its worst, the same very way that we are seeing a lot of looting, we saw the Auditor General's report, on the public fund, the same way that we have wastage and budgeted corruption in this country. If all these things are eating into the taxpayers' money, and the government, the President, William Ruto, is okay with it being like that, then the same, at the same breath, the same way tenders also are given and they're going into millions and billions and they cannot be accounted for, then let's have a discussion that every worker in this country, and so there,
okay.
Edwin, even the issue you're saying about the engineer will still go on strike, who will go on strike, other practitioners. Let's have a national conversation on what really should be the minimum baggage in terms of salary that our citizens should have for the jobs they give.
But Kamanya, I'm more concerned about the relationship between the current crisis in the healthcare sector and the way our politics has allowed that to happen. That our current president does not want to take ownership of the CBA that was signed when he was deputy president. Of course, by then he knew he had ambitions of being president. If that CBA was signed the way it was, he must have seen ahead, don't you think?
I would want to agree with you, Fred, that the politics are beginning to meddle into the development of our public policy. And it's rather sad that our current president is attempting to deny the CBA. Much as we know, a fact that is not being outrightly spoken about, the lifespan of a CBA is 2 years. After 24 months, things change because it's a projection depending on the economic activity of the nation. But now we are 7 years into down the line since it was agreed upon. The president was the deputy president. Every other senior government officer was in Jubilee, was a member of parliament. The deputy president was a member of parliament. All the CSAs, Kindiki, Duale, the majority leader, they were all members of parliament then when this CBA came into life. Now for them to turn around and say this was an UhuRuto lie, that is not correct. Because this deal with the doctors, the CBA, was not between the president and the doctors, it was between the government. And there's what we call continuity in governance. Therefore, it is upon the government, the current administration, to try and create space and room for negotiation. It's fine, it can be revised, we agree to that. And actually right now we should be on CBA number 3. This one should have been honored 5 years ago, and then the second and third one. But since that has not been realized, and in view of the economic state that the country is in, it is only fair for the government to take responsibility. And I liked what Atuoli said yesterday, that they have, I think they should be having a sitting next week with the current administration to try and negotiate. Because remember, you have the doctors, they have their own union, but they are all under the KOTU fraternity. That's why they can independently go on strike without needing KOTU approval, and KOTU cannot ask them to stop striking. It is their constitutional right to come out and agitate for fair pay and compensation. Again, when that conversation happens, there needs to be parameters of agreement, and they need to have timelines that will be effective irregardless of which administration will be here, because it is unfortunate that we tend to peg lives of Kenyans, because doctors are parents, doctors are our children, our sisters, our brothers, and they need to have a livelihood that is sustainable. It is unfortunate when we peg their livelihood on an individual. It should not be like that. A document, a contract, a CBA that is agreed upon between a union and the government ought to be honored, irregardless of the political atmosphere. So I'm calling upon all concerned to just allow and have a sit down, a round table sit down, and we bring this to an end, because Kenyans are suffering. Not everybody can afford to go to a private hospital. And also we need to make sure that as the doctors go back to hospital, go back to work, because one of the agreement, I mean, the reason for calling for a dialogue, it is, the number one is a return to work policy. So as we return to work, as they return to work as doctors, what will be even their working conditions?
Oh, yes.
So we need to have a national dialogue.
Yes.
And also the CS Health needs to come out and understand what Kenyans are dealing with. Let's not play politics. Let's not play petty politics anymore.
Yet we cannot ignore the role of politics in such big discussions. Of course, on the front page of the Daily Nation, yes, there's that highlight on striking doctors being given 24 hours to call off their nationwide strike or face disciplinary action. The head of public service says 24 hours after they call off the strike, then they will be back at the table to discuss that. But Edwin, the understanding is that CBS and subsequent discussions about the remuneration and other such like things should be on in terms of improvement, not regressing. Now it comes a time when the nation, the president says our wage bill is too high. Out of the collectible revenue, 47%, up to 47% goes towards public wage bill, which is surely a bit off. So the president has called for a conference, I think from the 15th to 17th of this month, to discuss the public wage bill. But are we having this discussion beyond the crisis in the health sector? Is it a discussion we should have as a nation, that sasa tunalipa mshahara kubwa sana? As a country, let's sit down tuone tutakata mshahara kila mtu pesa ngapi?
Fred, that's quite a question. And when you look at the fiscal strategy that we have, we need a serious process of fiscal realignment, because when you look at the priorities we have, it doesn't match the capacity that we currently can generate. And if we go to the route of paying salaries at the moment, we're going to crash this economy, all right? We are not in a situation where the fundamentals of our economy are very strong and can sustain higher wages. And that's why we need some serious fiscal consolidation. If we can get it right on fiscal consolidation, identify that what is the most paining part in our fiscal plan. We have the issue of runaway wastage, corruption, and probably higher wages in the public sector. So what do we do? Let us look at all sectors across. And every sector is important in its own right. As doctors are important, the security sector is important. You cannot be a doctor in a state where the state of security is torn. You know, a thug can just come into a hospital and, you know, and rob you. Of which doctor will you be, all right? So you cannot be a teacher in a school and there is wanton security and, you know, like you're even not guaranteed about your day tomorrow. So as doctors are important, the security forces are important. As teachers are, because a doctor will have to go through the hands of a teacher to become who they are, be it the specialists or the general practitioners. Every sector is important. But yet, why do we still deal with the issue of wastage in government, all right? Why do we still see cancellation of transactions in the IFMI system and over 8 billion is lost?
Are you saying we're missing the point in discussing the wage bill when we should be discussing about how to contain wastage in government?
Of course, the fundamental challenge of our time is how to manage the resources that we have, all right? So when these bills go to Parliament, all right, so parliamentarians want to discuss the public policy statement, budget policy statement, you know, and the fiscal framework, be it monetary policy or a fiscal policy. So the actions that come out of these plans, all right, the implementation aspect of it, the IFMIs, we have some serious loopholes that the control of budget, the auditor generals have raised as being the floodgates of corruption in the country. So why hasn't there been effort to seal those loopholes and ensure that the resources we have can be managed and channeled in the right way, so that as doctors come, they can come with a legitimate claim and say, we have these extra resources here, so why don't you give us a fraction of it? Okay. And you can realign that fraction so that it touches every critical sector of the economy.
Tabitha, listening to Edwin, it would suggest that that conference by the president will be a waste of time. That talking about the wage bill does not really offer the solution. The solution lies elsewhere, but that's a discussion that no one wants to have.
All right. Given the facts that we have, we are living in real times. That so many of Kenyans, me, I'm self-employed, so many of the Kenyans whom are into the employment sector, they're employed by the government, they are employed into the different parts of the economy of Kenya already, like the doctors are, and the health workers are feeling that they're not getting value for the services they provide. So then coming there and discussing our wage bill, already we feel aggrieved. That will be, I will say, it's like laughing at us as Kenyans, you get. So, so I would think that this conference is a bit too near. We need to consolidate our facts. We need to look at issues that are really bedeviling the Kenyan workers and what really will need to work for us. In totality, I would want that this country, honestly, because I've been sitting down as a common Kenyan and I'm asking myself a question that, where are we really headed to? What is really working for this country? What is really working in this country? I'm so honestly speaking, because nothing seems to, we are seeming to get nothing. Every time we try to get something right, we are trying to go forward by one step you're going backwards. So we need to have, I think right now, to have a national conversation. If that is the most recent, I think, conference or a public dialogue we need to have. That is what the president needs to call, and then the others can follow subsequently, like the wage bill, conference he wants to call. Because, and then from that we will feel like, even as in becoming to discuss that and bring other solutions and whatnot, according to Kenya Kwanza government, he has listened to us. He has listened to the health workers. He has listened to the teachers and everybody, even the journalists. I mean, everyone who feels aggrieved by what we'll call the work conditions in this country. So once we've had that, then now we can move forward and say that even if they will be coming with the new resolutions once they have the conference on wage bill, then it's not going to be a push and pull. These issues we normally have that the government discusses one thing and the Kenyans, because we feel that our thoughts and what we really go through is not being included, then we have to go out there and it's about strike, it's about what. So we need to really look at the approach we give to our issues as a country. So that is where I think the advisors of the president should sit down and look at what is workable so that people don't feel more aggrieved than what they are.
Kamanya, and you see very many people talking back at the government and saying, why are you asking us to live within our means? Because that was a call by the president, when you yourself are not doing the same. We live in an age where information is so readily available and people talk about it. We can see wanton wastage, pilferage of government resources, corruption, even issues to do with foreign travel, despite a circular last year calling for a reduction in the entourages and the travel by public officers. No one is listening. People are still traveling and we see them going with their relatives. And then one may wonder, are we really having the right conversation by saying that let's discuss the wage bill now? Yet we're looking at a budget, a very ambitious budget of 4.3 trillion Kenya shillings. What exactly are we talking about? Are we really having the correct conversation?
Oh, far from it, Fred. Because I think the crux of the matter is that we lack independence of our institutions. We do not respect our institutions as they are. We don't need to convene and discuss the wage bill. The Auditor General has done that for us. We got a report the other day. We have the SRC. They have done that already for us. They cap, and they say this needs to be reduced. If you remember, once we had once the devolution came into play, the members of parliament, the governors, the MCAs, their salaries were different from what they are now. They were revised some years later. And they were revised downwards. And that was highly affected. They tried to touch on the MP salaries that never came to see the light of the day. But if we only honor the reports that are generated by our committees that we have formed and other institutions that we have in the country, we don't need to have this unnecessary conversation. We don't need to come down and to having a wage bill conversation. Yet the Auditor General has a report. Today we are looking at the pilferage from the governor. 15 counties are being accused of wasting about 17 billion, money that would have gone elsewhere, you know. So if you want to work on a development agenda, because that's the essence of tax collection, that's the essence of having administration, that's the essence of service delivery to other Kenyans. To work on our development agenda, we need to have institutions that we believe in, that they can provide a report to the president, that they can table a report to the National Assembly, that they can provide a report to the Kenyans, and we'll have faith that this is going to take effect. Because that conversation on wage bill will come and go if it comes to happen. But then what will follow after? Yet we have all the facts now. There is no new information that will be developed or dispensed from that conversation. So it is about having goodwill. And I think the county governments and the national government, they need to have a conversation as well, especially when it comes to function. Devolution has taken place. Devolution has been delayed because the finances, the funds do not follow function, and that's how it ought to be. And that's why you see all these doctors, like Edwin was saying, we have some doctors who are under the county government and others who are under the national government. But the conflict is, so who goes to strike and who should not? How much should they be paid and by whom? So we need to devolve fully. If the function of, let's say, our health sector is devolved, let also resources...
Should those be the conversations we're having at such a conference and not just the wage bill? Because the question is, we'll convene a conference just to discuss wage bill, but we appear to be missing the point altogether.
Yeah, like I said, we have missed the mark. The only conversation we need to be having now is fully the phase that we're supposed to be in of devolution. That's the conversation we need to be having. So that functions will be followed by resources, be it in agriculture, be it in health. Right now, we're having a flooding crisis, and you'll wonder who is going to respond. We always leave that to the relief givers. But we have a government. We know the Lake Basin region is going to flood every once in a while when it rains. Why have we not had a rainwater management system over the years? But we have governors, we have members of parliament. So we're having the wrong conversation. Let's talk about devolution, let's talk about public policy, and we need to hold our leaders to task.
All right.
Whoever is not functioning now, you know, elections are coming.
Elections are coming.
And they'll be going home.
After the break, we'll be talking about party politics, because there's a suggestion that ANC and Ford Kenya fold. And UDA and Ford Kenya fold to form another party. You're watching Morning Cafe, don't go too far. This is TV47.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus niko niwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV47 with me, Freddy Ndimuli. I'm still in studio with Edwin Kigoli, Tabitha Ogutu, and Josephat Kamanya. And just during the break, Jimmy Gikwa, political analyst, snuck into studio. Karibu sana, Jimmy. But you've missed quite a chunk of discussion, and unfortunately, probably you'll only get an opportunity to comment on the doctor strike and what's happening later on as we wrap up the show. Because now I want us to focus on politics and political party politics, with what is happening with the UDA elections, especially the ODM elections, whether they will happen or not, we still have to wait and see. The UDA, at least there's been some progress. There's a meeting happening today, and we'll be discussing more on what happens. But there's a headline on the front page of the Star. It talks about ANC party now wants Ford Kenya and UDA to fold in merger. Now, this could change the game completely. Then again, it brings the discussion of whether or not we can actually have a party that can transcend 1, 2, 3 political cycles successfully in Kenya. But looking back at a party like Ford Kenya, it's probably one of the oldest we have, probably the better established parties that we have, only second to probably Karua and ODM. Now, when you see such calls, of course, the current president's wish has always been to have a big party, one big monolithic party, probably only compared to the Communist Party in China. We saw that attempt even in the Jubilee administration to try and copy that kind of politics. That is what the president would wish for. And so such calls cannot be taken lightly. But do you think, and let's start with you, Jimmy, do you think that's the way to go? Do you think it would augur well with the kind of formation that Kenya Kwanza administration has, the Kenya Kwanza coalition has right now?
Unfortunately, me being a staunch supporter of Kenya Kwanza, that is the wrong way to go. One, we have calminized our parties into regional or tribal voting blocks. All politics is local, so at no point will they ever come and merge. We saw what happened in the Jubilee Party. The animosity that was there even during the 2022 election is something we would not want to go back to. Right now, there are rallying calls in Mount Kenya of the Mount Kenya trying to secede from the UDA party. Why I think that is paramount and very timely is we need to have a breathing space. We cannot all be mashed up into one party and have a system like the communism system. We're a liberal country, so basically we're capitalists. So basically we need our ideologies and our parties to represent something. As we stand, The UDA, which my brother here, me and we fought for it for tooth and nail from all the way from Kiamba with the Member of Parliament, John Kawanjiku. The UDA party as it stands now, what is happening in Mount Kenya, they are saying it is a Luya party. Reason being, SG Malala became an SG just out of the blues. So the culmination in Mount Kenya is most people are still very discontented. And again, the UDA party took us to the election. It was brilliant, nice piece of work, but it only benefited the leaders. For instance, I've been a big critic of some of the things these people are doing. They're elder than us. The generation that is older than us. We have a very senior person in the UDA party. He has a job in government, very senior job in government. His wife has a senior job in government. His two sisters are nominated MCAs. His brother is a nominated MCA. His two daughter-in-laws, we call them daughter-in-laws, daughter-in-laws are also nominated MCAs. We're actually thinking he should also give birth or bring one of the boys to become the speaker of that house. So basically, it's not helping anybody. And it was a wrong choice because when His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President, went into that formation, or rather found himself into that formation, he went there with his resources, not the votes. He does not stand for any vote in Mount Kenya. Mm-hmm. Even his own region, Nyeri. He cannot be able to marshal the whole of Nyeri to stand in UDA party. So basically, it is something we are very skeptical. After what we saw with His Excellency William and His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, we are not anywhere near that. Yes. And we have never, at no point have we ever been, as a country, having one political party.
And it's interesting how this conversation still goes back to the kind of unity that leaders may have at the onset. Yes. With what we're seeing in Senegal, and later on the fallout that happens, and we are still suffering from that. But coming back to the issue of parties, we've seen that you approach an election, you form a coalition, probably a big party, and you cross successfully to the other side, then you no longer have the need for this party. Is that what the UDA and the Kenya Kwanza coalition is suffering from now? That yes, it was a vehicle for the 2022 election, they were delivered across the river, now they need a new vehicle for 2027. And do you think it is fair to ask a party like Ford Kenya to fold?
Well, Kenya is not China. Kenya is not South Africa. Kenya is Kenya. We vote for our president. South Africans don't. You get? And when you look at the system of administration in China, it's fundamentally different. And for Kenya to try and take lessons from countries that are administratively and politically different to our system is flawed, because you cannot use a road that you never tread on, all right, and hope to get to where you want to get. So our system is designed in such a way that when you looked at, and my colleague spoke about it, the merger into Jubilee Party, all right, there was that clamor, you know, and people were very happy, excited. We want to have a single party, a powerful party that transcends tribe and region so that everybody feels they are part and parcel of a bigger party in the country. But how long did it last, all right? What were the fundamentals? What was the foundation? What were the informing reasons to have a unified party, all right? You look, when situations and circumstances change, everything changes, all right? Right now, Jubilee is a shell of its former self, all right? In fact, where is it, all right? So this clamor again to have which party fold into which party, it is history repeating itself, all right? Unless the intention is clear, okay? And if you look down deep to what Mr. Wetangula would prefer. You see, once you fold your party,
you become useless.
Yes, you're at the mercy of anyone now into the new formation. And a lot of dynamics start to happen in this Kenyan system. And Fred, our politics in the country is not governed by ethics, is not governed by standards, is not governed by procedures, you know. We operate according to how the situation prefer. If you, Fred, and my brother coalesce, him and myself, we are left out. Yes. Okay, so we start to fight for our survival, and that's how it happens. That's how when the handshake happened, it threw into doubt the issue of Jubilee transcending 2017 and going into 2022, all right? Because now there is a new reality on the table. Raila has come, Uhuru has given him a handshake, and now they are cooperating. So where is Ruto and his followers? They had to seek for UDA, all right? After he fought so hard to have Jubilee be the party, but it is not. So, but we are not saying it cannot be. Just that if we get the circumstances correct, it can work. But we must get the hygiene of our politics right. Let us get the principles correctly so that we know if we are folding these parties, what values are we going to advance? What ideologies are we going to send forward? Because if we then want to form government just for the sake of amassing power and trying to do what my colleague said, who bringing who and putting them somewhere because they are family, and leaving somebody qualified out, it is one of the reasons that we read into these papers where we see a lot of stealing of public resources and careless cancellation of IFMI systems transactions without the leave and authority of the control of budget or the Auditor General. So if we can address these vices, put discipline in our politics, things will work out well.
And if you look at the cost, because beyond the convenience of having one huge monolithic party, probably you should focus on the cost of forming such a party. When the Jubilee Party formed, a lot of parties had to dissolve. The likes of PNU, MBAS, and so many other parties that no longer exist. Yet, even the formation they moved into is no longer as big as it was. They were hoping for a huge Jubilee monolithic party. It's not that. And a party like Ford Kenya, for example, can be credited for being part of those parties that really played a key role in the agitation for multi-party democracy. To get rid of such a party simply because of convenience for the next 3 years, do you think that's the right way to go, Tabitha?
I totally disagree with such an agenda because our democracy is under attack. We've come so far as a country to still go back to the dark days where we didn't have choices. I think this takes us back to looking at what are the roles of political parties. Why is it essentially that today we have so many political parties in Kenya? What are the choices that they give the people who are in those parties and even the people who want to get into the active leadership positions in this country? So then if you tell a party like Ford Kenya, which essentially represent what multi-party system represents, because it's the oldest serving party in this country, to fall and join into one big umbrella of a party, that I think by itself is far-fetched. And we are trying to reduce what we will call the freedom of even bargaining, because we have to be realistic, the political parties are bargaining tools to power. And also they serve to bring other people's interests to power. By power by default, basically, what I'm looking at realistically as a Kenyan in this particular ANC and Ford Kenya, having to merge and form a merge and then combine and be part of one party in Kenya Kwanza, is that now, next elections, if we are looking at, appointments from the Luhya land. And by the way, I've been thinking into myself, first of all, before I comment into that, and asking that, you see, the Luhyas have been having, there are Shemejis from home, they've been having the elusive Luhya unity, which by themselves they have not been able to be united. So maybe this is an opportunity for them to be united and have one particular standing so they can associate with the party. Now, if you're looking at the regional balancing, and because us, from where we come from, for a very long time, we have been associated with ODM. It's just that of recent, we have other parties coming in, but still ODM is what many of, yes, we're associated with. So Luhyas have been trying to form unity, but they can never unite themselves. So maybe the president is offering them a platform. But if you look at it, in other ways, this will limit their bargaining power. This will limit, I think, their representation democratically, maybe into the few seats you've seen, and you've seen that play out. Because ANC, if you look at the government, they have like the PS Obundo is from ANC. You'll see Ford Kenya also has its own nomination and things like that. So then maybe in the future, now the president's saying, because we have to make this table bigger. So that means for the sake of inclusivity, and Kenya Kwanza is trying to have its footprint across many regions in the country, then if we can only have one voice as Luhya in this particular house, so that we don't have Wetangula and we don't have Mudavadi also them having parties and have equal powers. So then we are speaking one. So we have only maybe 5 appointments for the Luhya Habagusi community, and it's like that. So nobody's agreed. We have agreed. We move forward. But then the bigger question will be, now if you're looking at now, like they're going to the party elections, and we have the 2 positions for deputy party leaders. So one is going to Mudavadi. So what becomes of Wetangula if he folds his party?
And it's that issue of the deputy party leader that is actually in contention, especially in Mount Kenya region. Jimmy mentioned it, because if at all, and according to what Jimmy suggests, that Mount Kenya region are a bit uncomfortable with this arrangement, even the talk about folding parties, even about the election itself, and the fact that the people who are trying to influence to have at least 3 deputy party leaders. That is a crux of the matter. That is the issue. If at all Mount Kenya would be allowed to have its own party, that changes the game.
Yes, 100%.
We don't need permission. We don't need to be allowed to have our own political party. We need to correct that statement.
Unless you leave the current formation of the ruling coalition.
We are a democratic country, and we live in a multi-party system now. We cannot afford to go back to one-party system. 2, Mount Kenya region is not up for grabs because somebody secures a deputy party leadership position and then they'll say all the votes will go to this person. No. We need to have a deeper conversation. Because as Mount Kenyans, we are totally, not partially, against the folding of the other parties. We are totally against the folding of the parties. Because that will be the beginning of where the rain will begin to beat us. 1, it will be UDA, and then there'll be Ford Kenya ANC, then you'll hear CCK and all the other parties. Dictatorship sneaks in slowly. And it is until they come for you, you realize how serious it is. So when you see them coming for your brother, or your neighbor, or your sister, you need to be worried. What am I saying? I'm a strong proponent of regional balkanization. Because regional interests, what we have in the western area, the coastal region, and the Mount Kenya region, those interests are purely different. And they can only be secured through a political system. A political system, you can only be active if you have a forum where you're able to talk about your interest, organize yourselves, and say this is the direction you want to take because the next administration is offering these parks and those other parks. If you do not have a party, you have no chance of negotiating. She has said very well. We have appointees from ANC, from Ford Kenya. Mudavadi would not be where he was if he had folded his party. The same applies for Papa Waroma. So when you ask, and I would feel very sad should Papa Waroma allow himself to fold Ford Kenya, because it was a forum of restoration of democracy. What democracy would he be restoring if he folds his own party? Further, this attempt to fold all this, to collapse these parties to one big party in quotes, is a confession that UDA will not be able to make the next administration. So they are trying to make inroads to see how best can they negotiate with regions to try and mobilize votes. Unfortunately, it has become a spent tidal wave. And that's why you see even the planned party elections have been very well scattered, far away from Mount Kenya region, far away from Central region. You've seen how they're trying to...
Are you saying this process is going to be inconsequential?
We have spoken about this long enough. It's a done deal. Even if it happens, just be superficially done, but it will not yield anything. The boat...
Yet even in our discussion about political parties, the structures, because these parties survive on the taxpayers' money. The fact that no single party has been able to carry out elections for a very long time, that says a lot about our politics.
Far from that, Fred, look at it this way. Once these parties are collapsed to one party, how will we form an opposition? Who will be there now to agitate for the Kenyans? And if you look at all other developed democracies in the world, we spoke of South Africa. Much as their system is different, but we have ANC, we have EFF. Look at Israel. They have many parties. They coalesce to form a ruling administration. Look at China. We're talking about communism. Is that the direction we need to go? No. So, as a country, if we are trying to develop our own political and democratic space, we must allow democracy to prevail so that Edwin, Tabitha, and Jimmy here can have a position to come together and form a party and agitate for the young Kenyans' agenda.
Thank you.
Okay.
Agitate for the youth agenda. Yes. So that even workers, remember unions also, they form parties when they're trying to feed into the campaign system. And they say, because this party is going to align our interests, then this is the way we are going.
Okay.
If we have one party, our democracy will be highly compromised.
Because we're running out of time, I'll give you each 60 seconds to give your final remarks. You can talk about this as well, the issue of political parties and the way to go. If at all the processes we're going through, and it's not just UDA that's talked about elections, ODM has talked about its intention to carry out. And these are the two major parliamentary political parties we have. If at all, and you all agree that the processes are simply superficial.
It's too skewed.
Then what does it mean about the future of our political parties? A final comment, Bwana Jimmy.
What I would think, the future of this country is very bright. I'm a very optimistic person because...
As far as political parties are concerned?
Yes, because I'm seeing a change of guard, which is what we are fighting for. That is why me and these people are in this panel. That is why we need to see the Tawe movement for a TAW work, plus or minus, even though it's not in part of our coalition. But we need these people to cede power. Again, as the next generation of politicians and leaders, power is never given. So, as they come for the UDA nominations, 90% of UDA was made by the youth. 90% of the youth in UDA were thrown under the bus. He's a good person. You know why I talked to him? Because he was an aspirant. And he knows that we have been in that journey. We believed in the president. And we still believe in... No, basically, we are 100%. I'm behind William 100%. The only problem William did was he did a decision in Mount Kenya that has cost us so much. We did not get what we were yearning for. When Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president, left the Kikuyu community, we were left in limbo. We were left without a leader, and Rigathi Gachagua was not chosen by any gamer person. He is trying very much. He has actually rebranded. We are praying for him, but...
his politics has really changed.
Yes, but in the long run, we know what this country is all about. Okay. It is impossible for him to move from point A to B, because again, he has also balkanized the Mount Kenya vote into a regional bloc. If you go, 90% of the staff in Karen are from Nyeri. I always say that. Okay. It is a particular place because he now took it to a Nyeri factor. Kiambu has the biggest chunk of votes. We still got a road deal. We only have one CS, Moses Kuria. One PS, the lady from Gatondo, for correctional services. The other gentleman for housing, PS Hinga, that was somebody who was, they took him from the other regime, or rather he's a fallback. So basically he was not part of the system. These parties, the youth in this country, will not take that nonsense. These people are old now. It's time for them to move out of this system.
Edwin, final comment, 60 seconds.
I'll go to Western.
And can we do it through the parties?
I'll go to Western. Western Kenya is the second most populous community in Kenya after the Kikuyu community. Yes. But Western Kenya comes a distant third or fourth in terms of actual votes. So the older generation has not been very steadfast in fostering the unity and the strength of Western Kenya. After the sudden demise of Michael Kijana, yes, Western Kenya was left leaderless. And that has been our problem ever since. We have Musalia Mudavadi, who appears to be the leader, Moses Wetangula, who appears to be the leader, but who is the leader? And when you look at Central Kenya right now, after the exit of President Uhuru Kenyatta, there looks to be no clear-cut leader who has emerged to take over the mantle. But Central Kenya can easily regroup itself. So moving forward, as a young person from Western Kenya, what I think is the challenge is how to make Westerners more enthusiastic about registering as a voter and actually turning up to vote. So if we got that right, and that is something that as the young people of Western Kenya, we are taking it upon ourselves to rally the community, to register en masse, and also not just to register, Fred, to turn those registered voters into votes, yes, so that now we can have a bargaining power, so that in case our brothers decide to go the route of folding parties and going in there, we can tell somebody, look, we are also coming with numbers, so we need something serious. Finally, when you look at the state of our economy right now, we have support programs for the elderly, but who supports the young people, who are the future carriers of this country? If we are recommending a subsidy for or a stipend for the older population, why can't we grow the economy so that the youth who are very innovative, industrious and entrepreneurial can get something to do so that we secure the future? We respect the senior citizens, but the future of Kenya lies in the hands of young people. If you young people campaign for you like my brothers did for UDA, and they feel they were left out and given a raw deal, you see, it hurts their morale. Next time, they will choose their own course and they will chart their own path. And then if we want to secure the country, let us invest in young people. That is the way to go.
I think you have 60 seconds for the both of you, starting with you, Tabitha. Only 60 seconds.
All right. I think now maybe I'll just throw this to my brothers from the mountain and ask them if the president cannot keep his word, we are seeing he's not keeping his word even in what he promised us during the campaign, then probably ODM will be a good, way for you to, I'm just saying on a lighter note. I mean, we have political parties, so we have choices. But then I think mine would be that we need to have a government. Myself, I'm aggrieved on behalf of Kenyans because I'm here to represent their voices. So we have to have a government that listens to what is bedeviling the people, the issues that are really touching on the health of the people. Those are the things that are very pertinent right now. For the political parties, myself, I'm affiliated to ODM, but I'll say this, that as all of us have agreed that it's time that we are not just used for the numbers in voting. It's time for us to be also not just given, because we have said that power is taken, but as we present ourselves, let us support the youth to also have these particular positions and represent well.
Finally, Bwana Kamanya.
Thank you, Fred. I think very quickly I want to say and speak to all, not just the Mount Kenya young leaders, but all the Kenyan young leaders. Let us not be gagged politically. We do not need to belong to the ruling political party for us to be active in politics. Let us come together, because it's about numbers, about votes, and the more we are able to come together, the more we're able to have a voice. That's the only way we'll be able to have our issues addressed. So let them do what they want to do. At the end of the day, we have the numbers, we have them. Do not be gagged. That's all I'm calling for. And then finally, we need a return to work policy. I cannot wait to see what comes out of the next week discussion, because the doctors need to be well compensated and they need to go back to work. Kenyans need the service.
Thank you so much, Josephat Kamanya, Jimmy Gikwa, Tabitha Ruto, and Edwin Kigoli. Unfortunately, we have out of time.
As we wind up,
10 seconds only.
Mount Kenya will never go unbalanced. As we speak right now, we have seen a new leader called Ndindi Nyoro. We as the youth of Mount Kenya will follow him 100%, but we also need him to stand up.
Amuchomba is also there.
Asanteni sana. Thank you so much for your time at TV47. Now, recent remarks by industrialist Narendra Raval and MP David Kosing regarding the possible extension of presidential term limits in Kenya are not only unwarranted but also concerning. While Raval's comments on having Ruto as president for 25 years may have been made in jest, the implications of such suggestions are far-reaching and should not be taken lightly. It is alarming that a legislator like Kosing would openly advocate for changing the constitution to accommodate extended presidential terms. It is particularly disconcerting that President William Ruto, who swore to protect and defend the constitution, did not outright reject the suggestions when given the opportunity on the same podium. As a custodian of the Constitution, it is imperative for him to unequivocally uphold its principles and defend it against any attempts to undermine its integrity. His silence on the matter could be misconstrued as tacit approval, which only fuels speculation and undermines the rule of law. Now, the Constitution of Kenya is a foundation of the country's democratic governance, and any attempts to tamper with its provisions must be approached with utmost caution and respect for the rule of law. While it is true that the people have the right to amend the Constitution through established legal processes, proposals that seek to concentrate power or perpetuate the rule of any individual or group run counter to the democratic values. Furthermore, the suggestion that discussions could be entertained on a presidential podium is deeply troubling. The presidency is a symbol of national unity and should not be used as a platform to promote self-serving agenda or undermine democratic principles. Dear Kenyans, let us not take such random suggestions lightly. We must all reject and condemn any attempts to undermine the Constitution or extend presidential term limits. That is our editorial comment this morning.
Far-reaching program that aims to strengthen the influence and position
na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the...
Right, karibu sana. This is Morning Cafe and a very good morning to you. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyiringita. It's one of that day that we discuss matters law and give you some legal tips. And today we're asking you, do you think children born outside of a marriage union should inherit property of their parents, one of the parents? And well, this might be affecting you. Even as you listen to this, it might be affecting you either directly or indirectly. And you probably know someone who is involved in all this legal battles of they're probably born outside of that marriage union. Maybe the dad or maybe even the mom isn't the biological parent. And they're involved in all these legal battles, just trying to see if they can inherit property. Also, what do you think? Have you been in that situation? How did you handle all that? And how did it pan out? 0795-045-864 is our number. It will be displaying pale chini kwa screen yako. The bottom over your screen. You can write that number down, 0795 045864, and call us live and tell us what do you think about that bit. You can also text us on our numbers at 22047, so our SMS number. When you go to our Facebook page at TV47KE, we've posted that question for you. Do you think children born outside of a marriage union should inherit property of their parents? Quite a sticky issue that we'll be trying to analyze right here. And to help us understand this conversation is a gentleman who has been here before, just spewing wise wisdom for us. Silas Akiro, lawyer Silas Akiro, karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you once more.
I really appreciate Stanley for being with you once again.
And I hope your morning is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. My morning is very good.
All right. So even as we talk about, because here, even non-biological, just understanding what the law says, because there is also a word that is commonly used, out of wedlock, children born out of wedlock. So help us understand what the law defines non-biological children and children born out of wedlock and all that bit.
Now, Stanley, when we look at the law on children, we are focusing on three basic laws. The first one being the Constitution of Kenya, 2010. The second being the Children's Act, 2022. And the third being the Law of Succession Act. But when we mention particularly on inheritance, then our focus is geared towards the Law of Succession Act. Now, at Section 3 of the Law of Succession, there is the interpretation and definition of different terms or categories used within the Act. When you look at the definition of a child as per the Law of Succession Act, then will be the children born or those that have been taken in and recognized and or accepted by the man or the parent as being his own, whether or not biological. Now, when you look at the definition of the word wedlock, though not particularly from the law, but from the wider perspective, it is believed that once you get married, Stanley, you have locked out others from this union. We normally call it the union of just but one man and one woman to the exclusion of others. So if a child is born outside this lock, then we come up with the term born outside wedlock. So they are particularly not your biological children, but if you recognize them as your children, take them in. Maybe the woman came with them, the man came with them, you recognize and take them in as forming part of your children, then they are also within the meaning of dependents or a child as per the Law of Succession Act.
As a parent, you have to formally say that I take this child as my, I take this boy or girl as my child. And you have to go to court and actually say it and formalize it, or before the court, do you have to prove that I have lived with this child for this amount of years, I have paid the school fees, I have catered for their basic needs, so that is how I actually agreed to be the parent. How do you, or is it just sawa kuja tu tuishi?
Stanley, we have to stay clear the path that by the time the child is defined in court as being a child of the deceased, it means you are dead. You are not there to explain to the court that I took this child. So it is upon the living to confirm to the court that this child was taken in by the deceased and this child was recognized by the deceased and this child was the child of the deceased as he knew it and then that this child is therefore forms part of the survivors of the deceased person. And whatever estate that remains of the deceased, then this child will be viable to also be given a share if the deceased died without leaving a will. But if the deceased died leaving a will and does not include this child, it will be a long road for him or her to be able to get a share of the deceased estate.
Right, fantastic.
Yes.
A nice introduction of the same. So let me take you to last year, November, where the Court of Appeal proclaimed that any child born out of wedlock is entitled to benefit from the wealth left behind by the deceased parents. So this is last year, November. So that means before this proclamation, maybe things were done differently, you'll tell us. But then, so what kind of effect does that have? Because over the years, 10 years now, and we've been seeing proclamations by different high courts in different regions, just having hallmark judgments and trying to interpret some of this, the Matrimonial Property Act, the Article 45, Article 53, Article 27, just trying to interpret them in different kind of cases. A good example, the matter of Peter Mburu Echaria and Priscilla Njeri Echaria, and just to mention a number of them. So first of all, or the same, what do you make of, so for someone, a child born out of wedlock, even before, so a case that was maybe ruled before this, November last year, how does now the court interpret that, that was ruled before that?
Well, in law, Stanley, we have things known as judicial precedences. We may have a long-standing precedence that has not been overruled. But once a court of that standing, this we are talking about the Supreme Court, whether there were 100 decisions before this decision of the Supreme Court of last year, they all stand quashed, they all stand unapplicable. And so the precedence that is on operation within this matter is the immediate precedence by the Supreme Court of Kenya. Now, on a light note, Stanley, when you look at the way this law came about, the issue of children born out of wedlock being viable to also inherit from their adoptive, let me call them adoptive parents' estates, it's because this child has a biological parent, whether father or mother, depending on whom you've taken in, who has come with them.
Yeah.
Then you have denied them an opportunity to look for their biological parent. And you have created a legitimate expectation that for whatever responsibility they may require in their day-to-day pushing of life, they should be coming to you. And then at the end of it, you now want to turn against them. The law said that that is not the law of natural justice. The law of natural justice requires that justice be done. There should be reasonableness, fairness, and justifiability of every action. So the moment you create a legitimate expectation to me that you are my parent, then you should be able to create, to make up for that legitimate expectation. Because had you refused earlier, I would have looked for my biological parent, or I would have made the life's end meet for me as the struggle for the fittest would put me. But now you have absorbed me in, and you see, when you talk about succession, we are looking at dependence, particularly for children. We are looking at dependence. even your own parent, you are dead, but then your own parent cannot easily inherit from your estates until they prove dependence. The only persons who must not prove dependence are your wife, your wives, former wife or former wives, and children. And children here includes
all of them.
Includes those born out of wedlock. Remember, as at Section 29 that provides for dependence, Section 29 of the Law of Succession Act, it talks about children. And then now you have to go back to Section 3 and read the definition of who is a child. And then you realize that Section 3 informs you that when you're describing a child as per Section 29, then you need to define this child as described by Section 3, which includes children brought in, whether born or not, but recognized by the deceased as his own.
Wakili, you've told us that the wives do not have to prove dependency, but do they have to prove that they helped in one way or another acquire this property or even build it? I'm asking this because the case that I had mentioned, which is in public domain, the matter of Peter Mburu Sharia and Priscilla Njeri Sharia. So the court was trying to interpret this and holding that equality of spouses doesn't involve redistribution of property rights at dissolution of marriage. It also quotes that where disputed property isn't registered in joint names of parties to marriage, but is registered in the name of one spouse, the beneficiaries of each spousehold ultimately depend on the proven respective financial contributions, either directly or indirectly in acquisition of property. So basically, just to summarize all that jargon, this is the court saying that you really have to prove and give evidence and bring us documents that you helped acquire this matrimonial property.
Good. Stanley, remember, when we are talking about inheritance, we are talking about one spouse dead and his estate has to be distributed. But when you're talking about the share of matrimonial property, we are now discussing dissolution of marriage.
So what? So now, just to now bring into that.
Good.
So what's the effect of now the child? So hypothetical of. Let me give you now hypothetical some names that are very common here. So you do have Brian, you do have Mary. So Brian is, let's say, the deceased husband, and then you do have Mary. So Mary, let's say, had, or maybe even Brian had children born out of wedlock out there, and then there's Mary. So maybe these children, let's introduce someone else. Let's say Jane, who's the mother to the children born out of wedlock with Brian. And they're trying to also acquire the property that Brian, who's the deceased, left. Does the court have to tell the mother of these children to prove that she also helped acquire this property or even maybe manage it for these children now to inherit them?
Well, remember, when you are inheriting the deceased person's estate, you are not obliged by law to prove contribution. You're only obliged by law to prove the degree of dependence.
Okay.
And if you fall within the confines of Section 29 of the Law of Succession Act, particularly subsections A, B, and C.
All right.
But then now when we discuss, I think your question is best answered when you're talking about dissolution of marriage.
Okay.
Yes. Because at inheritance, so long as you can prove that you are a child of the deceased, whether or not born by the born by the deceased, then you are viable to inherit from the deceased person's estate. But then now when we come to dissolution of marriage, where Matrimonial Property Act comes into play.
Not used. And even as you continue, because so last year, even the Court of Appeal was saying that when it was giving the whole pronunciation of children born out of wedlock and why they should acquire and inherit the property of their deceased parents, and saying that, well, the rights of children must be distinguished from marital status.
Exactly. Because I told you in the beginning that you have taken in this child, created a legitimate expectation that for his needs in the society, he needs to come to you. And then there is no way the law will allow you to make away with a vile or a wrong in the society, where if now it comes to the distribution of your estate, you lock them out. You see, that is basically you are infringing on the child's rights. You have actually interfered with the link between the child and the parents. Because remember, I told you that if you did not want them to inherit from you, you are at liberty to instruct the biological parent whom you have, maybe the mother or the father, that these children may look for their biological father or mother. But now now that you have taken them in and you have put that interconnection, that link, that I am your father, there is no way the law will allow you to refuse them inheritance. So when it comes to now sharing their parents' property, particularly at dissolution, where the matrimonial property comes into play. Remember, today, you are not being entitled to a half of what the man or the woman has, but you're being entitled to a half your contribution, what you have, both of you together. You see, Stanley, eh?
Right.
Yes. So if you were married into this home and you found that the man has all the cars, has all the houses, has all the land, has everything, the only thing you will be entitled to is 50% of probably the improvements you have made in these things.
Right.
That is the only thing that the law will give you as a woman or as a man. But then when it comes to the children, their right to parental responsibility continues, whether or not they are your biological children.
Right. And even before I get into the next one, because now, even as you continue, someone will ask now, what about the will? But before you give us that, remember, you can always be part of this conversation. On Facebook, when you go to our Facebook page, TV47KE, we have a poll there. Should children born outside of a marriage union inherit property of their parents? And there's the yes, no, and I don't know. The yes seems to be quite a number of them. When we wrap it up, we'll be seeing how many. But then there are also a number of comments. Let me take a look at them, and also some questions that people have posted. Tarragon says, if I am their father, then they must, though a good father will always invest for them outside those marriage. Legacy, okay. I'll have to skip that one. Philip Mwainge, the birth certificates have the full names of both parents, even the ID numbers. A final one, I'll be taking a look at others later. What is outside when they are part if one's lineage by blood? Okay. And Omorai Lucas wants to know which parents, the outside ones or inside? Yes. But then a couple of them are saying yes, yes. Jackson Karika says yes, children are innocent. And I mean, definitely, even the law really stipulates that, well, these children are innocent, really having, and even actually, Article 53 tells us every child has a right to be protected from abuse and all that.
Actually, that is the part of the Constitution I was talking about.
Yes. Yes. So now, if the law is telling us this, with the failure of this child, and again, back to my hypothetical, let's say if it's Brian, before his demise, he did not have a will. That's, let's say, scenario one. He did not have a will that really showed that this is what I'll have to separate. for my children. What happens in that case, even for the children born out of maybe wedlock, or actually, let's say, children that are actually maybe not his, that would want, or maybe even the wife came in with other children, and these children also want to inherit this property just by the virtue of they recognize Brian as the father. Or scenario 2, he had scribbled down a will, but left out the non-biological children. What happens in some of the scenarios?
Now, Stanley, when we talk about succession, particularly in the world, not in Kenya alone, it is undertaken in 2 forms. One of them is called probate, where a will is left, and the other one is intestate succession, where there is no will left. Now, where a will is left, then the validity of the will has to be put into question. And some of the things that invalidates a will, it was done out of duress, coercion, forceful, and maybe it was not attested by persons of independence, and probably it left out dependents. Some dependents who were supposed to also do what? Inherit. As such, the law will not allow that will to pass, having too well known that there are few others that have been left out in this will. And so, in such scenarios, there's a will. These children have been declared children as by the law, and then you leave them out, then that will have to be knocked out, and then intestacy will come into play. Now, you see, everything we do at private has to be in conformity with the law. And where whatever you have done is against or contravenes the provisions of a constitutional legislation, then that item you have, or the will you have, is considered unlawful or illegal or irregularly done or procured. And so this goes to our parents out there who maybe they want to do wills. Make sure that the will conforms to the law. It may be not in line with what you want, but it has to conform to the written down law. Now, when it comes to the father now did not leave a will. We have children born out of wedlock. If there is no will left, then all the dependents have to be included in this succession. In fact, there are 6 forms that are always supposed to be filled out when you are petitioning for succession of the deceased person's estate. And one particular form, which is always very significant, is form number 38, P&A 38, which is consent of persons of equal or lesser priority. This is where these children come in. They are also dependents of the deceased person's estate. They were depending on it. And by being dependents there, they have equal priority or lesser priority to whoever is petitioning to be given a grant of letters of administration intestate. And so, after all the assets have been gathered and collected, the law first of all allows the family to sit down and discuss that the total estate is 46 acres. We are 10. Let each person take 4.6. If there is a disagreement in this, then we go back to court. The administrator will say that the family is certain, this is how they discussed. Then the objector, including the child born out of wedlock, can now object and say, no, this is not how the family agreed. Then the court will disregard the share formula taken by the administrator, and the court will adhere to the provisions of the law as pertaining intestacy. And that means that each and every person will have equal, not equitable, but equal share of the deceased person's estate, including those children born out of wedlock.
All right. Yafesi Bigi Amwai seems to agree with this. He says they should inherit from the biological father and only from the foster father if he voluntarily included them in his will. We've seen prominent figures who pass away, and in the funeral service, a lady is present, and she is with maybe a daughter or son. And she claims, well, huyu mtoto ni wa huyu mzee mwenye ameenda. And so, because you also tell us that, so it has to conform, whatever is done in private and all this, has to conform with the law. But then we understand that there's a Sharia law, what, the Islamic faith and, the Muslims would really follow. There's also the interplay with the customary laws, where, different communities would really have even their own laws. So, is there a gap in when, let's say, for example, now in such a case, again, kama hiyo, let's say, Akina Brian and the hypothetical that I'd raised earlier, in such a scenario where the man passes away, and let's say, for example, the man was of Islamic faith and the wife is a Christian, and maybe, the children born out of wedlock in this are, let's say, from both, and they're really trying to push that we acquire our father's property, who is Muslim. How does that play? Or rather, even in some of these communities that largely, for example, the Agikuyu, some of them would say, no, we do not recognize this person because maybe they're not circumcised here, and other kinds of maybe excuses that they would have according to their own customary laws. How does the law play into that when customary laws as well as Sharia law is involved?
No, Stanley, the Constitution provides that customary law that is inconsistent with the Constitution is unlawful. Mm-hmm. So even the customary laws have to be consistent with the law.
Okay.
If there is a customary law that is disinheriting a legitimate child,
it's unlawful.
That will be declared unlawful.
All right.
And that is why even the decisions of customary law always end up to a finality in a court of law. But now in a court of law, the court of law has to pass your customs in the mirror of the written law. Now if on a balance of the written law, your customary laws weigh lesser or lower, then your customary laws will be knocked out. And so in your hypothetical scenario, we have a father who is a Muslim, mm-hmm. and a mother who is a Christian. Mm-hmm. Although, of course, maybe divorce has taken place because in a real life situation, they will always not be together because the Muslim will say once the wife has turned to Christian, amekuwa kafir, and so will be knocked out.
Right.
Or if the Muslim is marrying this Christian knowingly, then you see in their law they say that the Christian has to convert to Islam. Mm-hmm. So assuming such a scenario exists,
yeah,
then the parent dies. The father dies. Mm-hmm. His estate will be distributed strictly in accordance with the Sharia law, the Islamic laws, which is allowed by the Law of Succession Act, including the wife here, unless the Sharia law becomes inconsistent with the laws of Kenya. But you see, one of the customary laws that are strictly adhered to or followed or observed even by the courts of the land, mm-hmm. I always call them the Sharia laws, the Islamic laws.
Yeah.
Because they rain down from their customs, mm-hmm. you see. So, including this wife, unless there was divorce and there were terms of divorce and what have you, they had parted ways, all those things. But you see, even at divorce, our law requires that the divorcee is also considered in the inheritance unless she has remarried. So, the father's estate will be inherited in accordance with the Sharia law. The mother's estate, if she dies, will be dealt with in accordance with the Kenyan Christian laws. I know our laws are largely Christian.
Back to the Sharia laws, under what circumstances will the court look at this and say, we won't use the Sharia law, let's go with the Kenyan Christian laws?
Well, number one is when the issue cuts across. And number two is when there's an appeal from the Qadhi's courts. Even then, shall the court, based on the pact between Kenya and Zanzibar, allowing their courts to operate alongside the Kenyan mainstream courts. Then will the laws seriously scrutinize? The judge or the magistrate will have to seriously scrutinize the Sharia law and properly detail its inconsistency. For instance, if Sharia law dictates that, that's an example I'm giving, that by this woman leaving her husband, she has become a kafir and therefore is liable for stoning. And then the woman is condemned for stoning. The mainstream law will come into play. Human rights drums will beat. And the Sharia law will be disregarded in this.
The right to life and
the right to life and the constitutional hierarchy of rights will have to come into play. And so these are some of the scenarios that will have to come. And remember, I was giving that as an example. I am a Christian, I do not know Sharia laws, but I was just giving a scenario in regards to your questions, not meant to provoke. Or you understand?
Right. Let's focus on, and still, because they've given us this whole analogy, all that. But then now, are there instances where this child can also inherit? So apart from inheriting the parents, the deceased parents' property, can also inherit the grandparents' property. And we've seen this even in, the mainstream media. A good example, former President Moi, and even the grandchildren are really pushing for inheritance of some of the property. How does this play when it comes to now you also involve, let alone the child as well as the parent, but also now to the grandchild?
The law of succession is the law of dependency. You prove that your grandfather prior or immediately prior to his death was providing for you, or you were dependent on your grandfather.
What if you're not born at that time?
If you're not born at that time, of course, natural justice, we will just consider if all grandchildren are receiving something, let all grandchildren receive. But if the members of the family prove that Silas, though being a legitimate grandchild of grandpa, was not immediately prior to his death being maintained and was not depending on the grandfather, then the law can exclude you. Similar, the reverse also operates. You are the grandchild here, and your grandfather was depending on you immediately prior to your death. Your grandfather is a dependent as per law and should be given a share of your estate.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is the Law of Succession Act. You read section 29B of that law. Because in the hierarchy or degree of dependency, it starts with wives, former wives, and children. This one, whether or not being maintained by the deceased prior to his death. Then, B, it now comes to the second degree of consanguinity, where we talk about grandchildren, grandparents, parents, But at section B, you must prove dependence.
Right.
The key term there is proving dependence. If you cannot prove dependence, the law will disqualify you from inheritance.
Right. Okay, we have about 4 minutes to wrap it up. First of all, before I get your final thoughts, do you, because we've seen some of these acts being revised again, and we're living in different times before they were implemented. Do you foresee some of these acts being, or rather, do you have a feeling that they should actually again be revised? What maybe the Law of Succession Act states that they should look at some of these clauses and maybe revise and just tweak them because of how things are really changing. Case in point, the Court of Appeal November, just that whole proclamation of children born out of wedlock should also inherit. And well, this was a huge conversation. Do you foresee some of these things, and should they actually be there?
When the law made that proclamation, I mean, the court made that proclamation, it was already in law.
Okay.
Yeah. So the appeal could only succeed based on not on jurisprudential argument, but on a legal argument. So the legal argument here was that Section 3 interprets a child like this child has been denied, they should. Then the law, the court makes that decision based on the law. And then because we were really not much informed on law, we tried to make it a camera issue. You see? Now, you see, Stanley, the development of law is based on the societal needs.
Right.
Remember on the serious question on the LGBTQ that came up between President Obama then and the former President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. He said that this was an issue for the Kenyan society at that time, you see? And therefore, when the society will come to a realization maybe of a double inheritance here, and they really need to cut on too much unnecessary wealth, where this child inherits from the non-biological parent and somehow gets to know where the biological parent is, and realizes that biological parent also passed on, and the biological parent has some huge estate, and by Section 29A, as a biological child, you are not supposed to prove dependence. That child is automatically a dependent of the biological father, and then he inherits from there, comes to the non-biological parent, also inherits from here. I believe there will come a time when the society will say, there are a group of people in the society who are irregularly enriching themselves, right, and so we need to enact a law prohibiting this. But before it becomes something out of the blues, or out of the moon, then as the law as presently constituted,
right,
is that non-biological children are also children and should inherit from their non-biological parents' estates.
Okili, allow me to take that as your final thoughts, and even as an advice to people, because you've really given us some wise nuggets out here, because time is not really on our side. Final comment, remember you can always converse with us on our socials, Jimmy Onjigi, unless mtu okay. I think you really have to filter some of this. You can always go back there on our Facebook page and continue that whole vote. Quite a number of about 1,000 votes on the yes, 249 votes on the no. I don't know, 130 votes. The question was, should children born outside of a marriage union inherit property of their children? You've got some interesting advice. Kindly check them. And in case you have any questions, reach out to Wakili. Utatupatia number as we wrap it up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Our numbers are 0717653746, or you can just go to our website, www.akirolaw.com. You'll get everything there.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I hope you've saved that number. And even as you save it, putting your phone kando, look for your sporting attire, some gym attire and all that, because we're getting into all that after this short break, getting into a full body kind of physical workout. Stick around.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we do have some plates. So I'm Coach Kim, and today we're going to do barbell full body exercises. These will be mostly for strength purposes, mostly hypertrophy. Hii inamaanisha will be muscle building. Yeah, strength training for hypertrophy. Kuna strength training for power. No, but this time round we're just doing it for hypertrophy. Hii inamaanisha those muscles will really get a good pump and some growth. Hypertrophy inamaanisha tenda reps za about 12 to 15 reps. Yes, per exercise na about 2 sets, 3 sets depending na workout tunafanya. So this is a rack. Hii rack ina hold plates and I hold the easy bar curls. Easy bar curls ni a bigger version of this barbells. Yeah. So hizi barbells kuna Olympic size na kuna zile normal za gym. So you should know the difference. Hizi they are a bit heavy and they are a bit long, about 180 centimeters hapo. And then these other ones are smaller ones. They're mostly used for arms, to train biceps. Alafu plates kwa hii rack inarangiwa. So this is an easy bar. Okay, no. Yeah, it has different angles za kuishika. They target different muscles. Yeah, so ukishika long ina target muscle, the longer bicep, na kuna short, na kuna tones za shika or the reverse curl. Yes, hivyo reverse, yes, for triceps and forearms. Yeah, so hizi ni vitu fana, alafu kuna hii ni straight. Kuna mtu ambaye ako na shida na pinky yake inamsumbua, so you use this one. This one is a bit haina angles mob, but it works the same. Yeah. Then ni mzuri rack everything unatoka kwa hii rack. Then si hupanga the heaviest weights chini for safety. Then at least middle weight na the lightest hapo juu. Yeah. Yeah, 10, 5, 15, 20, 25. Yes. So kama hauna hii rack haina shida, usijali. The only thing ni just get something you can load weights with. Mostly tunasema bags unawezeka ndani viatu, anything heavy you can get. Unaweza chukua jerrycan, weke maji na ufunge vizuri, bora iko na handle yenye utaweza shikilia, ama hata 10 side na unaweza squat nayo. Kama ni ile yenye iko na kuna hizi zenye imetokea siku hizi kama ya Eliant or something, iko na some curves, unaweza chukua chape nayo. Yes. First and foremost ni mzuri ku stretch, ndio tuanze full body workout using the barbells. Okay, so stretching yetu kawaida, tuanze tu na the lateral lunges on the sides pole pole. Yeah, hivyo tunafungua our abductors, then switch pole pole, maintain low. Yes, maintain toe hapo chini. Make sure you have a full stretch. Make sure your toes zinaguza chini, your heel pia, na your ankle iko na a bit of a flexion, imeenda hivi chini. Yeah, like yes, perfect. Then this other side. Yeah. So usiinuke juu, unajua so kinuka juu utakuwa umeharibu your pattern of movement. So maintain to chini. Chini tu ni much better and it gives you more flexibility. Yeah. Hapo. Nice. 2 more. Then ya mwisho. Okay. Since leo tutakuwa tunafanya a lot of deadlifts, lazima to prepare our lower backs as well. So we're going to go into this position. Hapa, squat position. And then we're going to do a 3-point squat. 3-point squat inatokea hapa. Then narudi chini. Okay, so from here, guza tu, touch your toes, step on your fingers a bit, ndio ikushikilie, usimove na your upper body. Then up. Nice. So make sure you have a full stretch. Your hamstring pia zifunguke na your lower back. Then tuende tena chini. Nice. Good. So this time round tuta combine na something known as a good morning. So tutaenda hivi from hapa chini, tutainuka juu hivi straight, then tusimame hapo. So we are preparing our lower back for this movement. Then tunarudi hivi, then squat back, then hold, then back up, then simama. So you do like 5 of these. We have 3 more. Hold your toes, squat. Nice. So lazima ukuwe flexible kabisa ndio uweze kufanya hii. Then stretch and stand. 1 more. Up and stand. Now another version tena tutaenda nayo ndio tumalizia our stretches. This is what we'll do. A bit of a wide stance. Then chini. Nice. Then we shall just rest on our weights. Weights zetu move side by side. Yeah. Hapo. So hii inasaidia kubalance na kuprepare your muscles for movement. Yeah. Hapo. Nice. So for our upper body, tutakuwa tunashika a lot of weights. Let us be hapa hivi, let tupige magoti kidogo. So we need to prepare our wrists. Ndio zisiumie time ya mazoezi.
Even for the grip.
Yes, even for the grip. So we begin from hapa. They're called rocks, wrist rocks. You go this way. Lazima prepare everything. Yeah. Nice. So make sure una control your movement. Inanyorosha vidole. Yes, you're doing it nicely. Then fist, kunja fist. Then you rotate this side, clockwise and anti-clockwise. Slow, then anti-clockwise.
Until you hear the sound.
Yes, sound. Yeah. So ukiona unazisikia sauti inamaanisha you need to really stretch your wrists every day. Hiyo sauti it's not a good indication. Yes, so unafaa unazoesha this other side. Haya, ya mwisho ya kuzi-strengthen ni hapa chini. Ekelea hivi. So, yes, perfect. So you do this. So don't do this kama uko na injury, sababu it may cause more harm. So make sure unalalia a lot of your weight. Hivyo, then switch. This side, then back. Yes, then tena. And again. Nice. So for our thoracic region at T-spine, ya mwisho moja, this is called the world's greatest stretch. Tutafanya hivi from hapa. I think we've done it before now. So you lift this other leg juu, then you switch. Uta feel lots of your muscles ziki. Then now a variation, nyorosha hii mguu ingine pia. Straight. Yes, this other one. Perfect. Try. Perfect. Nice. Then rudi chini. Switch mikono. This other side. Then ukirudi chini hivi, stretch it tena hapa. Yes. Then switch mguu, do the same. So lazima ufanye both sides. Ukifanya na hii, narudi the other side. So unainuka hapa. Then hivi. Then from hapo chini, alafu stretch. Nice. Then back, the other side. Back and stretch. Yes. So that's a good dynamic stretch when you want to begin your full body workout.
Ushaanza kusweat.
Mimi nisha sweat mapema sana.
Wacha nisipingi maji tukiendelea mpaka show unaweza endeleanga kusip maji ukitumbia. What to expect?
So my approach towards full body training huenda hivi. I begin from the lower side nikikuja juu. The reason being ni I emphasize on lower body training sababu it's one of the most taxing workouts and involve a lot of compound movements. So always begin with your compounds ukienda towards your other accessory workouts. So when you're doing a full body, tunaanzia chini tukipanda juu. The best workout ya kwanza.
Bottom up.
Yes, bottom up. Exactly. So since you're doing a bottom up approach, I'm going to begin with something known as a deadlift. Deadlifts, it's a overall training ya mwili nzima. So after the deadlifts, watu wengine wanasema you can't combine deadlifts na squat because it's really tough. But for me, I say challenge accepted. So I go heavy on the deadlifts and a bit moderate on the squats and lunges. So one workout should be heavy and then the other one's moderate, ukienda to the lighter workouts. So the lighter workouts and lunges, if you're training your hamstrings, if you're training maybe your ACLs, hizi, if you're training your knees or calves, you go on a moderate type of weight with more reps.
Deadlift for me is one of those, I don't know if I've never really mastered the form, but yes, the whole technique, but deadlift for me, yes, it's always one of those that if I was to avoid it, and I definitely avoid it, I'm pretty sure even back at home, because the whole, you try
conventional,
to, yes, you really try to go the proper kind of technique, and everyone has their own gospel when it comes to deadlift. Some would say no, don't bend your knees. Others would say at least yache kwa lose kidogo so everyone has their own. Train atakwambia pana lazima ikae hivi, and your position of mgongo lazima ikae hivi. What's your take?
So for me napenda nasema ukienda kwa meza yenye iko na buffet, experiment, yeah? Experiment. Don't just take one type. Take all types, yeah? Take fruits, take proteins. So when it comes to deadlifts, mimi husema nitafanya zote. So ukisema when you have a mguu sikunje, that's called a stiff leg deadlift. Na mostly hutumika to train your hamstrings. When the leg is stiff, you have a full stretch on the hamstrings. Alafu, when you're doing the one yenye umesema unakunja mguu kidogo, it mostly goes on your quads, a bit on your glutes and your back as well. So mi mix zote, but mostly I'll go the heavy one, I'll do a conventional. Kuna a conventional deadlift, kuna a Romanian deadlift, na kuna a stiff leg deadlift. Romanian deadlift, weight haitaguza chini. Utarudi to the same position over and over again A stiff leg deadlift, miguu zitakuwa zime.
So for the Romanian, you go light on even the weights?
Okay, not necessarily. Okay, your light ni relative.
Okay, light by, if for example I weigh about 73 kg, how much weight should I be?
Yes. Romanian do about 60 kgs, 50 kgs. That's about moderate weight. But
so I go below my...
Yes, you go below your body weight. But now if you're going for a conventional deadlift, try your body weight plus 125% of your body weight. So kama me I'm like 92 kgs. Sometimes there's a deadlift about 160, 180, almost 200. But sasa hiyo ni years of experience na pia the goal ni kukuwa mkubwa. Unaona? But now if your goal is just to be fit, unataka kwa nini, just take your body weight and below. It's okay. If you can reach hadi 100, that's fine.
Why not?
Yes,
na kuna shida ya mgongo.
Kama sio kwa shida ya mgongo, avoid this deadlift. Na kama utaitumia, use a belt. But if I'm you na uko na shida ya mgongo, try to rehabilitate the injury first. Perform a lot of mobility and movement exercises which will strengthen your lower back and any type of back. But don't try the deadlift kama uko na injury ya back. That's a good sign for you to rest and even don't attempt. It's death. That's why it's called a deadlift. Saa zingine unainuka na weight unaona sita-sita kuzungu.
Unarudisha chini. I think that's one of the reasons that me and deadlift. But then again, leo we have to do it, and back at home you also have to do it. Kim amesema tafuta some bags, tafuta anything that really feels as if iko heavy vizuri. Tafuta kama ni mtungi ya maji, unaenda tu na sisi pole pole.
Hata kuna best way, kuna hizi vitu zinauzwa kwa shops, kuna sandbags, kuna bags zenye ziko weighted. You can just have them in your house. Budget si mingi sana. Ni pesa tu kidogo, si mingi sana.
Pesa kidogo ya mkulima. So are we starting with the 2020?
Yes,
how are we stacking it up?
20, yes.
Okay.
So this is where I begin. Mostly unashikanisha miguu, then you open them outside, fungua moja hivi. So when you do this is a narrow, okay? Then you can do one more. Then from this point, that's where you can do your deadlift. Now make sure the weight, the bar, iko unazaona your shoelace. So kuja bado iko direct to your shoelace, like perpendicular. Yes. From that position. Yes. Yeah. 2. Perfect. So that's perfect width for you. It's a bit over your shoulder length. Yes. So you grab from outside. So this is what you do. You go with a straight back. Alafu you grab on the outside. So it looks something like this kauko pale home. From this side you grab a straight back, ni kama umekelewa something straight on your back, kama kijiti imekelewa. Then you just bend hapa, chest out, and then you lift. Then kuna nyatenda hadi lower kabisa, depending na venye unataka kuinua. But most of all, remember, it should be outside your legs. Okay, so this is what I do. I warm up first without any weight. Nitashikilia hivi nje. Make sure zimetoshana side by side for balance. Okay, so this is a conventional deadlift. We go. So make sure magoti yako ipite chini kidogo. Go lower, go a bit lower. Perfect. So flare your knees out. Nikaze nitaka push. Yes. From there. So ukiflare out, your quads and hamstrings zitakuwa under tension. So some people wanaekelea hata the bands to increase the work. So make sure una flare out your knee. If you push your, alafu unaenda juu 1. Then ukienda juu, tuseme some thrust or anything, but don't thrust. Just lift naturally. Then unarudi straight venye ulianza. Nice. Then back up. So hii ina prepare mwili yako ikuwe ready to do the work. So tempo should be moderate speed. Don't rush it. Pole pole. So we have like 2 more. Then 1. Back up. Nice. Good. So from that position, tumeshaelewa the type of movement we need for this first workout. So we are going to do a conventional deadlift. Conventional deadlift ni touch and go. The weight itaguza chini, narudi nayo juu. So for that you go heavy. Then the one in Romanian yenye weight haiguzi chini, just balance your weight. So let's work. So you load your weights to the bar, but make sure you have good space.
Yeah. Okay. So we're starting off with 40?
Yes, we're starting off with 40. Yeah. So since you're a heavy person, you start, but kama hauwezi fika bado kwa 40, begin from a very light workout, lightweight.
So unaambia tu mimi ni mzito.
Wewe ni mzito. Wewe ni mzito.
So just a reminder, what's the whole, where does it start? Because, well, you say deadlift is a full body, so where mostly does it target?
So it targets your glutes, it targets your quads, your hamstrings, your back, your lats, your shoulders, na some bit utafeel some pump kwa mikono. Yes. So utapata, sometimes when I do the deadlift napata the pump your chest inakaa ni kama, so silewi inawakaje, but it just pumps up your full body.
How do you know you're doing it wrong? Where utasikia uchungu wapi ndio you'd be like,
for one, utasikia uchungu kwa mgongo, utasikia uchungu kwa wrist, utasikia uchungu hata kwa shoulder. Hapo utajua you're not doing it correctly. Then sometimes you may feel it on the middle part of your back. Hapo utajua
your back is not as straight as it should be.
Eko vizuri. So for that, wache, practice kwanza bila weights until you get the form right. Most of the time when you're doing barbell workouts, ni form. Then barbell ni poa sababu ina negate all the imbalances. Muscles hazija balance. Si kila mtu akona muscle balance. So when you use a bar, ina distribute weight
evenly.
Yeah. So ikiwa even, ukilift, kama ini weak, ini strong, inasaidia. Yes. So let's go, we can do the first one. Let's begin with 12. Yes, so make sure from here. Yeah. Nice. So then, hapo, and go. 1. Niguza chini lightly. 2. 3. Flare out your knees. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 2 more. 2. Nice. So that is the first set. For me, I don't repeat the same set with the same weight. I move. So this I call it a warm-up set. So warm-up sets nitafanya hivyo. Then I add weight sasa. Now that will be a working set. I'll have 2 working sets and 1 cool-down set.
Yes. All right. So more of a progressive.
More weights, progressive overload.
All right.
Which is so important.
So we're going the.
So you can take the 10-10.
Yeah.
So let me take these 20s.
So the first one, I definitely felt my abs.
You did, yeah. You targeted the abs.
So that means inaingia vizuri.
Oh yeah. Na bado, ndio the working set sasa. You can have the 5s if you feel, but sasa since we have 1 more set, acha 5 zitafuata. So,
we said it's a progressive.
Oh yeah, it's a progressive.
Hakuna kuharakisha.
Haina uharakishi.
Maneno.
So
atabaka tu mwenye ameanza na 10 kg.
It's okay.
Next. Pandisha tena uende 15 kg.
Ama kama weights zimekosekana huwezi pandisha, do more sets, do more reps na more sets. The same weight but uende more. Sasa sisi tuwezenda sana sababu we're due for hypertrophy 12 to 15. So 3 to 4 sets are okay. Yes. So tuendelee. Remember form. Hapo katikati open and open. Then prepare your body. Grab your weights firmly and then go. So we do 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice. So umeona, when you're going a heavier weight, tunapunguza the reps. So ile ya kwanza tulianza na 12. Sasa tumeenda na 10. So if utaongeza any more weight, kama uko na nguvu bado, sasa utaenda 8. Yes. Okay. So how do you feel?
Mentally I thought it's going to be an easy one. Kumbe ni challenge. Let me wipe off the road and make sure iko sawa sawa. So next up we're going.
So you can go high if you wish. Someone want to maintain. How do you feel?
How many reps?
8.
8. Aya, back home tuone kama tutafika E8.
So, wewe umeongeza. I'll watch you do it. Alafu mimi nitaongeza kwa yangu nikitoka kwa yako. So let me watch you do this. Yes, so perfect. Mbele hapo, mbele kidogo. Hapo. Yes, so you good. Perfect. So then you bring the weight to your shin. Hapo. Unaona? Then you lift from there, turn it a bit low. Perfect. Up. Slow. 1. Good controlled movement. 2. Nice. 3. Strong. Nice. 4. Good. 5. Good. 6. Nice. 7. Alafu ya mwisho. Good. And 8. Nice. Iko sawa. Hebu ipande yangu, si ndio?
Oh yes. Na upatia 5s.
Unaweza nipa 10. Nipa 10. Let me do 100 kgs tu kidogo.
Sasa ndio nimeanza kusweat kama wewe.
Umeanza kusweat? So when you're doing strength workouts, utasweat a lot. Yeah. So hii tu ni light leo. Just doing light stuff. So we're going 8, no? Yeah. Sasa utanionea form. Yeah, I enjoy deadlifts a lot. So this will be our second working set. Alafu we shall have the lightest yenye tulianzia kama ya kumalizia. Na tunaenda AMRAP ama hadi failure at least. Okay. So ni mimi. 1 2 3 4 5. Kuna kitu nataka kusema. Unaweza shika alternating grips. If una feel ni nzito, unashika alternating. 6 7 8 until failure. Oh, nifika 8. Okay. Sometimes when people control appetite. Sababu kazi ni mingi, just be disciplined enough kusema imetosha. Hata una feel uko na lot in the tank. Sababu tuko na hii last set. Inaenda light. Hapo ndo tunaenda hadi feel. So tunaenda hadi 15.
So right now where I'm really feeling it is on my lower back. Yes. So that's where it should really be.
Yes, hapo ndo ina hit sana. But see the only point, what happens ni unapata you have a really nice back. Alafu unataka hiyo muscles za your lower part zikuwe more defined and more visible. Deadlifts are you have to go to. Now una combine na kitu inaitwa static training. Unainuka juu na weights, unasimama nazo for some seconds. Nice.
So tunabaki with the 20s?
Yes, the 20s is back.
All right. Haya, baka tuambie kama ama pale kwa ofisi umeambia boss nipatie some space. Yes. Nifanye workouts hapa hivi na this guys with morning cafe. Utuambie unasikia wapi, you know. Deadlift tunarudi now the last set.
Yes. So sometimes when niko na time sana nitapunguza one plate. One plate.
Oh.
One plate.
Increasing
yes,
the reps.
Increase the load and you increase the reps. Yes. Okay, so we repeat. So this time tutaenda 5, then hold, 5, then hold, 5, then hold. You hold 5 seconds, so we do 5, hold 5 seconds.
So hold
yes. So here na target more the lower back, even more. Yes. So we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then hold 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Yes. So when you're finishing your workout, tie it up with some static holds. Easy holds ni mzuri sana. Yeah. So that's the deadlift for you. Since you're doing squats and all that, we don't need to do the Romanian deadlifts or the stiff-legged ones. For today, after the deadlift, you're doing the squat. Then we shall train the hamstrings some other way.
Time for squats. How many? We agreed 10 reps.
Yes, 10 reps, 3 sets.
3 sets.
Yes.
It's 40 kg. Yes. Mimi najua kufikisha hadi hapa 40 kg might be tricky. So I can spot for you.
Yes. Alafu pia nitakuspot. But normally don't go as heavy if ni ngumu sana. Yes, moderate.
Ama una advice nipunguze the 20-20 niweke 10-10.
Definitely. Kwa kitu inaitwa ego lifting. Ego lifting ni ile design you want to lift heavy but you don't need to do it, you know.
I'm not ego lifting today. I'm back at home. Don't ego lift.
Yes, don't ego lift. That's a really bad thing.
So
chukua tu weights unaweza, especially if you're doing it free weights kasisi bila rack. It's really safe to do it. Alafu always have a spotter. Yes. Here is your 10 and then you rack your weights.
And then show it's locked.
Yes, make sure it's locked.
Ndio iende kusumbua huko mbele.
Yes. So you can do hata 15.
Watch out, pick the first set to the 10.
Yes, good.
Then we see how things go.
Yes. Perfect. Then you lock it. So you take your weights, you lift them up on a overhead press, then utakelea kwa mgongo, then you go.
So you good with the locks?
Yes, I'm good with the locks. I have both locks. Weights ziko sawa. Then if weight ni nzito sana, you'll need a spotter. But if you're experienced and you feel weight yako ni comfortable, go.
So in your 20? Wacha kwanza tuone. All right, so the form still remains.
But tuweke weight juu kwanza. Yes. So in this position, good. So form remains. Nice. And then feet pointed forward, and then you squat as low as you can. Let's do 10. 1. Control your tempo. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. How do you feel that weight? Nice.
Not good lifting. It's proper for me.
So when you don't go lift, utapata more gains. Utakuwa blessed with the God of gains. You'll have better gains, less injuries, and you'll train more for many years. So hata mimi siwezi ongeza. When I'm doing free weights hivi, I just do 40, 60 at least. Yeah, haitaki mingi. But ukiwa kwa rack, you go crazy. Yeah.
Aye.
2 more sets?
2 more.
Okay. So we go up. Remember the form? Yeah. Good. And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's good for you. So the combination is a deadlift, then a squat. Si rahisi. It needs you to be prepared, and also mentally, you should be really, really prepared. That's why some people who train legs a lot, they are very strong people. Sababu si rahisi.
What will help a leg day? or 2 hip leg day. So I'm feeling like I can
you can add more weight.
Challenge
so
myself with a 5-5.
Yes. Could you 30?
And probably see if I'll need a spotter.
You'll do it. You'll do it really nicely. Unaona, when you lift and you feel you have some more reps remaining in you, that means your weight iko sawa kwako. But ukiona target yako ni 10, but ume struggle kufika 8, jua usiongeze weight. Yes.
So I'm going with the 30.
Yes. So I can try see how to take a juu vizuri. Safety first always. Good.
Kwanza ni make sure everything is...
Oh yeah. Yeah. Gym ni si kuharakisha. Ni pole pole. Ni kazi.
Ni pole pole hadi umenipatia time kusip some warm water.
Because squat na deadlift we. Yeah, then after hapo jua we are doing some bent over rows. Hiyo na hit back.
Hiyo ndio ya mwisho ya kumalizia siku.
Tutamalizia na accessory ito arms. Tutamalizia arms. But tuta superset the bent over rows na some hamstring workout nitakuonyesha to 2 sets of which supersetted. Alafu after hapo to train our arms na tumalize.
And we're good. Haya, tutupige hiyo then we get into the other one. Ooh.
Yeah, that position is okay. Unachukua weight yako. Nice. Perfect. Yeah. So you ready? So go hapo home. Tuende countdown pamoja in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Those are squats. So sometimes when I feel a bit nimeguzwa, nafanya static. So na squat na pulse hapo chini kidogo, narudi juu. So hiyo unapata inaongeza. Yeah. But since you're doing bent over rows, na hii kitu ya hamstring kwa kuonyesha, tufanye later hizi steps. We're going to use them for only 10. Then you do some bent over rows. So, kama uko hapo home and you want to train your quads and your hamstrings and your glutes, you're going to do this using something elevated from this position. You'll grab your weights. Yes. So kuna variation mingi ya hii. Kama huna step, you'll do this. Ni ya Kai Green. Kai Green is a bodybuilder. He's the pioneer wa hii workout. So this is what you do. You do it from hapa na lift hivi juu. Hivi.
So that goes to the hamstrings.
Yes, so, yeah. And glutes. But now if you have a step, you can use it.
So basically you're advising for ladies now.
Yes.
Mtu anataka glutes vizuri.
Yes.
This is
the kwanza hii ingine nimesema ya stance hivi. That's really good for your glutes. Then you switch to the other leg. But now also this one, this is a bit advanced. Ina hit more kwa sababu ni kama lunge. It's like a lunge and a Bulgarian split squat. So this is a split squat, but now we are lunging and lifting the weights on a perpendicular parallel way. Ikienda hivi juu. This is a uni workout, so it's really important. Yes. So tukaribishe weight hapa. So hii weight unaileta to the middle part of your body hapa when you're coming from down. So this is how you do what you do. Unaekelea hii mguu just on this side a bit. Nika una step na ukue maybe on your toes or not. But on your toes is good. Alafu una lift juu. 1, 2, 3. Hivyo. So we'll do 10. Left in the bent over row. Yeah, 10. Are you ready?
Oh, so this is a superset.
This is a superset. Yes, let's superset it. Mostly supersets are done when you have limited time and you want to get maximum use of your weights. Nipo superset.
So.
Yeah. So 10, we go. 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. So let's switch this the leg. Him gwingine immediately. So hii utapata a very good pump. It's not a very nice easy workout. Yeah. We go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, how do you feel? Yes. So we're going to do a bent over row.
So it's, I feel like it's a whole compound.
Yeah, it's a workout and ni holistic. In a hit, split squats are really good for your legs. So we're going to do some bent over rows. Hii ni ya mgongo. So this is what we're going to do. Kuna pronated. Unashika hivi ama hivi. So ukishika hivi, you'll be targeting more of your lower back and middle part. Ukishika hivi, it's more of your lats and your upper back and a bit of your lower back. So you row. Kurow, you do something like this. Hivo. It's a good back workout.
So
Lazima.
Does it have to iende juu kabisa?
Yes. Juu kabisa.
Mimi naona nitapunguza weight hapa.
Yes. It's really good. You're catching up.
Na hiyo
yeah. It's good to use comfortable weights.
How many sets are we going for the superset?
Only 2 sets. Only 2 sets.
So ile nyingine tumebakisha moja.
Yes, ingine tumebakisha moja. Alafu tumalizane nayo. This was yours. Yes.
And look.
So
unasema formula hii ni
we rack your weight. Yes. So mostly people use dumbbells, but using a barbell, barbells are the oldest bodybuilding tools. The oldest, yes. So they are very recommended. But pia ukitumia dumbbell ni poa pia. Yes. So kama uko hapo home, hauna barbell kama hii, chukua hiyo mtungi yako, find a tabletop or something to hold yourself hivi, ama hapa kwa mguu, and then you go this movement hivi. Hivi. So ni kama unawasha lawnmower or yeah.
Ile ukiwasha generator ile.
Yes. That movement. Ama watu wengi wanatumia ni carpenters juu ya kusew. So full contraction will give you full growth in your back. So let's go. We're doing 10 of these.
So you remind us the position of your legs and also your back.
So nakumbuka venye tulikuwa tuna squat. Ni almost that, unaweka back yako bent straight, and then your knees bent a little bit. Alafu you bring the weights from hapa juu.
So from here?
Yes.
And knees bent kidogo.
So always miguu zako bring for you begin from katikati, you open 2. Yes. So 2 is more stable. Yes. Perfect. Then you grab them from the outside and you row. Yes. Then I need you to have your chest out. Yes, chest out. Perfect. So chest out itamaanisha all your muscles za mgongo zitakuwa contracted.
Yeah, because I feel like contraction here now.
Yes, already. Good. So if you go with a heavier weight, utajiumiza. Moderate, light weight is good. Yes. So we do it 10. Nice. So first you stand with the weight, then urudi chini pole pole, then row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice. 1. So that's for the back. Then you go back to our. Najua hiyo workout is dreaded. Hiyo tuna superset nayo. Ni moto sana. Yes, but now that will be a good finisher for our lower body. When you do lower body, transition to back. Kind of train glutes, hamstrings, miguu. Your next workout should be back, because back yako is already engaged. So when you work it out, perfect.
Haya. Tupige ndio tumalize maneno.
So hit tutapiga 8. We go 8 8.
Yes. So let me see if I remember the form. So
yes, you can't kukimbia on your marks. Perfect.
So for example, I don't have it.
Then up. So you need to really contract your quad muscles. Yeah. Yes. Hivyo sasa. Perfect. Yeah. So that's why kuna kioo kwa gym ndio uweze kuona form yako, na pia kuna trainers wa kuonea form. Yeah. So we go, ready, and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. Nice. When you see, it's a sort of feel hata on your lower part your back hapa, it will have a lot of work going on. Yes. Umesikia njaa sana? I know.
Nilikula maika 3.
Perfect.
Asubuhi.
Good.
Kazi imeisha.
Hiyo imeisha. So we go. And 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Nice. So we're going to do the bent over row 8. Then tumalize with our workout za hapo. Then we do our arms and we'll be done. Yes. So let's go for the back. Back ni mzuri sana. So leo tuseme tu workout mwili nzima, but with more emphasis on our lower body, and this for hypertrophy. Yes. Okay. Remember the form. Then you stand with your weights. So let's do an underhand grip. Yes, underhand grip and up. We go. Though itahita bicep kidogo. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So mona hii it's a bit easier. You can go more. But tunasema discipline, follow your program. So we're done with these barbell workouts. Unless sasa kama una feel kuna nguvu, you do shrugs for your traps and shoulders. So this is how you shrug. We can just do it for the sake of tuingie bicep mbio mbio. Okay. So when you're shrugging,
so with the same weight, how much do you now? Is it advisable to have more
I'll
weight?
need you to go heavier sasa for this camp. Is this one? Just it's good to go heavy. Yes, because traps ni muscles go juu. Now they're very good for anyone to have. They help you with loading weights. Hata ukishikilia your barbell hapa nyuma ukisquat, hiyo ndo kama pillow. Then ukivaa shati inakupatia that aesthetic look. Yes.
Ukivaa vest hapo ina hii.
Yes, hata kama for the ladies it's good to do it. It gives you a well sculpted shoulder and back. Perfect. Then grab your weight. Stand. Good. Then shrug. Perfect. So when you're shrugging, I want you to lean in mbele, like lean mbele, 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 hapo. Then go. So ukilean mbele, unapata hii muscle inapata exposure. So shrug a bit higher. Perfect. Chini. Go 1. Good. 2. 3. 4. So go couple home. Just take your weight and shrug. This is just a finisher, a bonus workout. Saizi zisha waka juu tufanya deadlift, tufanya squat, tufanya back. So for this one you can go about 3 sets and you go as heavy as you want. But that's easy. Let's go for the biceps sasa. So you'll take your easy curls, easy back curls. So chukua your angles for you. Yes. Let me take this straight one. So what you do, you take light weights. So for you can take this 10, which is to me the 10 kgs. So it's always good to plan your workout beforehand. Hivyo hautakuwa carried away na workouts unapenda. Sometimes utapata Now those workouts you are very strong at, so have a program itakusaidia sana.
Mtu kama mimi, I love arms.
Yes. Mostly
so
that's where
I'd be tempted to be doing more of arms.
So when you have a program, now uifuate na discipline, hautakuwa carried away with these other workouts. So this is a 10 kg for this one. So we begin with a wide grip. So this one we're going to do a superset tenor. We begin with a wide grip, then a close grip. So you do 10 of this, then 10 of these, the close ones. So we'll start.
in amateur ni so
the wide one. So unaona hizo curls ziko nazo? Yes, hapo ndio. Yes. Then you stand with the weight, good. Then you don't shake. Yeah. Then just do the curls. So before you do anything, I want you to retract your shoulders. Zirudi nyuma. Perfect. Then go. 1. Good. Pole pole 2. So this is a finisher for us. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Good. 9. 10. And you don't drop the weight since you're supersetting. Drop it here, then do a close grip. Perfect. You go. Yes. So the close grip. Give me 8. Yes, give me 8.
So upper.
Yes. Twende.
Let me see if I can get the grip.
Yes.
So nipate grip vizuri.
Pata grip vizuri. So shikia hapo ndani. Perfect. Yes. Yes. So you can rotate it.
Itabidi ni.
Yes. So unashikia na karibu. So you hit your peak, the bicep peak. Yes. So after doing a back workout, it's good to finish with a bicep. Yes. After back, you do a bicep. But if you're doing your chest, you finish with your triceps. Now go. 10. 10. I said 8. No. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Nice. Then drop. So, mimi nikifanya hiyo, you come and do some push-ups. So, let us share. So, this is what you'll do. You'll be doing a push-up until mimi nimalize, okay? Until nimalize pale, you do your push-ups. So, kwa hapo home, hauna kitu ya kubicep curl nayo, you do the push-ups. A close push-up. Okay. So,
push-up from the bar.
Yes, no,
on the ground.
On the ground. Yes, so we can take this bar, irudi nyuma kabisa. Yes, give yourself some space for the push-ups. Yes, until nimalize pale. So this is the time. Yes, so just do usirush, pole pole tu until nimalize. So I'll also do 18, 10 wide, 8 close. Yes, so yeah. Najaribu. Good. 1. I'm going for the 8, a close grip. Nice. Four, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Nice. How do you feel?
Oh yes.
So it's good to finish it. Yes. So mimi nitakuja hapa. What you'll do hapo, go 6, 6. 6 wide, 6 less. Yes. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nice. So go finish hapo, chani kuje hapo. So this is our last workout, then we stretch and go home. Yes. So I'll do 6 wide, 6 throws. Yes.
Ooh.
Nice. So this is a good finisher. For men, it's good to train your arms at least 3 times a week, 4 times, because arms are most stubborn to grow. So you really have to train them hard. Yes. So next time when you do this, you can do something known as a Arnold 21s. That's a different story arm. Yeah.
Does it have anything to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yes, it does. It does.
That is a very obvious guess.
Yeah. And nice. I go to the closed one. Sai pump yangu ishaja. Sikia moto.
Mimi veins tu naona imcha.
5 4 3 2 and 1. So you rest. Take your water. Let me do it. So ulienda ngapi?
Is it 6? No, 12.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me try. 1, 2, 3, 4.
10. 1, 2. Oh, I thought you were giving me bonus.
I would have. But sasa, it's also good to leave some in the reserve. As much as it's good to go to failure, it's also good to at least bakisha mbili au tatu kwa gas. Yes, so let's stretch a bit. Alafu tumalize. You can have your kopo la maji. Ama ni kopo la uji peke yake?
Kopo la maji pia inaruhusika. Oh yes. Ooh. That was fantastic. Hi.
So, we're going to do static stretches. This for the sake of mobility na kato kwa uchungu yote. So as always, I like to go to this position first. So this is the most primal position. Mi upenda sana kukaa hivi. Sababu iko na a lot of benefits. Inasaidia your lower back sana. Yeah. So from there, just push your knees outside using your elbows. So hivyo ita force your hips zifunguke. Your abductors, yeah, so fungua kabisa. Wide. Nice, and just hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we're going to switch heavy and hold up. So this one chini, and then we turn pole pole. And this one, drop it down, hold, up. Now tupeleke mbele. Guzisha, perfect. Then back up. This other one, and hold, and back. Now let's go this position and sit on your legs. There. So make sure you have a flexion. Your ankles zikuwe zimekaa heavy. Your legs. Yes, and then you just sit on them. Good. Now this is a good position to be at. Inanyorosha your ankles from the inner, relieve the pressure and the strain. Yes. So nice. We need to stretch our hamstrings as well. So you're going to have a sit kidogo too. Then you try and touch your toes. So have this one at this position, good. Then touch your toes with the opposite hand. Good. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switch. With the opposite hand again. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Both of them. You hold. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go to a baby pose. And remember to breathe. Good. So upper, and stretch and low. Hold 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice, perfect. 4, 3, yes, 2, and 1. So this is what we're going to do next. This way. And turn. Then sit on it kidogo hapo. Perfect. Then from this position tena tutarudi hapa. Then this other side. And so yeah. Then from there you go back this position. Come back to a cobra pose. Then you baby pose.
And we're done.
Yeah, you sit up and you say, nice.
Oh, yeah. Tell us where we are. Remind us your name and where can someone come here as we finish it up.
Coach Kim. Utanipata hapo Instagram _.johnkim. My brand name is Keep Fit Trainers. You can get us hapa Physique Gyms. It's at Rocker Square, 6th floor. Rocker iko just after 2 rivers on your way from town, or if you're using the northern bypass, iko just after the bridge, the one Banana Road.
Basically, weka tu map utapata.
Kwa map utapata pia.
Utapata mta.
Pia tuko Instagram, Physique Gyms.
Most definitely. Follow them and check out all this workouts unaweza join in for this bits here. Quite a huge space. Asante sana for the whole bubble workouts pale home. Sijui kama ulimalizana na sisi all the to the entire 50 minutes. Ama ulifika mahali mtungi ya maji ikakuwa mzito. I'm used to Stanley Nyaringeti. Have yourself a wonderful day. Goodbye.
We value your feedback. If you would like to send questions, comments, suggestions, or complaints for any of our programs, call us by telephone number 0740-047-047 or email us at info@capemedia.co.ke. You can also write to us at PO Box 599 00606, Sarit Center, Nairobi. Or you can reach us on any of our social media platforms, X at TV47 News, Facebook at TV47 Kenya, Instagram at TV47 KE, and YouTube at TV47 Kenya. Or visit our website on www.tv47.digital. You can drop your complaint or feedback at our offices, House number 3, West End Park Court, Muthaiga North, Nairobi.
When you're working, it's not husband and wife.
No, it's not husband and wife. Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
From a little-known village in the Great Rift, growing up in abject poverty.
I remember maturing very early so that to help my mom take care of even the siblings. Definitely I wanted to become a doctor. That is one of the things I wanted to do professionally.
This Thursday, 7:30 p.m. on Fahamu Kiongozi, we focus on Nakuru Senator Tabitha Karanja. With me, Elizabeth Mutiko. Don't miss.
Did you know that singing the happy birthday song twice while washing hands is a great way to ensure sufficient time for proper hand hygiene and reduce the spread of germs?
In the world of business, success isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey. Here, we dive deep into the world of entrepreneurship where grit, determination, and innovation intersect.
And don't be a copy-paste, copycat person. Because Miss Said is doing that, I also want to do that. Do not try that.
The Grind. Real stories from real entrepreneurs.
Everything is possible if you put your trust in it.
Identify your craft and exhaust in that medium.
More collaborations, I think, are going to work amongst businesses. For me, it's working.
Do not be the man with the hammer. Be the man with the Swiss Army knife.
Every Monday at 7:30 p.m.
Don't worry about failure. You only have to be right once. Drew Houston.
Get ready for a whirlwind of fun where imagination knows no bounds.
I school at the most intelligent school in this world. That is why I go to school.
Adventure awaits as we dive into enchanted tales and explore far-off lands. Since the sage and his wife did not have any children, they decided to keep the mouse as their child. Let us also stir up some deliciousness.
Ensure that the butter, this is what we call butter, ensure that it's smooth enough.
And feel the rhythm. Our musical adventures groove to catchy tunes. Sing along, dance, and let your inner rockstar shine. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. on Kids on the Block, where playtime meets learning and friendships bloom.
To your #1 weekend entertainment show. This is, of course, Beat Plug Extra.
Perfect aligning. Before you give me ring, boy, mash up the king, boy. See me position, feel the wine. See me position, see me position. See me back then, boy, see me position.
Nicotine, dry gin and nicotine.
Ita my dear, na unamsikia, it's a lie, utaumia. Aki men can lie.
Creamy mashed potatoes. For the creamiest mashed potatoes, forget about cream and butter and just crack an egg into them when they're just about ready. The heat of the mashed potatoes will cook it and make it safe to eat.